Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And how you doing today, Kyle?
I'm well. I'm feeling all right. That whole sinusy allergy thing is mostly behind me, I think.
Yeah. Not so much with me, man.
Yeah,
I got fucking hit this weekend. So last Tuesday when we did our show, I just had a little scratchy voice, but it just kept progressing. And then on Saturday, I was supposed to go to my cousin's wedding down in Paynesville, and I was pretty excited to go down and see him all. But I also had to work at 9th Street, and then Aaron said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll cover the whole shift." So I was kind of excited now because I didn't even have to work on Saturday night. So I was going to go down to the wedding, and then I was going to go to Cram Jam and check out Johnny Wayne. And instead, I laid in bed, racked with fever. So not as fun.
Did you watch Rudy while you were laid up?
No. I gotta watch it. So Meta actually messaged me that day because I was laying in bed, and she had seen the comments on Facebook, and she said, you can just go watch Rudy on Netflix, And I said, I don't think Kyle's trying to get me killed, I don't know I can survive Rudy alone. Like, you have to watch it with me. So, but she was super busy this weekend too, so it did not happen. But
if you guys could be so kind as to,
I hardly made it through the Rudy episode on the newsroom. It was fucking rough, man. So
right? That's some good shit, man. Rudy's the real deal.
Right.
Yeah, fuck you, Samwise Gamgee, making me cry like that. God, that guy's he's in some awesome shit, man.
Yeah.
His character on Stranger Things, I was like, oh, is he going to be a douchebag? Nope.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool seeing him on Stranger Things. I forgot about that.
He just gets some great roles. He's just done well for himself over the years. Goonies, Rudy, fucking Samwise Gamgee, who is like arguably the most heroic figure.
Okay,
in
so
all of Lord of the Rings.
I don't even know the actor's name, but the guy who played Samwise, he's Rudy?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would know it if I watched the fucking movie, but
I
thought it was older than that. I mean, that guy has only been around for a decade or so, huh?
Well, like I said, he was in Goonies.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Who was he in Goonies?
The main character in Goonies.
You're kidding me. God, it's been a long time since I've seen Goonies.
Yeah, he's been at it a long time, and some good roles have come that guy's way. He's played several fucking iconic figures,
Speaking of the Goonies, Anne Ramsey in the Goonies, the lady.
Oh yeah.
She was also in Throw Mama from the Train. I always said that my ma, if I was going to make a recipe for my ma, it would be 1 part Anne Ramsey from Throw Mama from the Train, 1 part Roseanne Barr, and 1 part Dolores Claiborne, the character Dolores Claiborne. And if you just stirred gently and added a 2.5 pack a day cigarette habit, that would be my mother.
That's great.
It was pretty awesome. Actually, I'll tell a quick story. Back when we had the Eclectic, I had said, okay, actually, I'll go back farther. I went and saw Throw Mama from the Train. Okay, Throw Mama from a Train is a movie from the 80s, late 80s, that is got Danny DeVito in it and Billy Crystal. And the plot of the movie is that Danny DeVito hates his mom, played by Anne Ramsey, and he's trying to get Billy Crystal to come over and kill her. Okay, movie is not great, but Anne Ramsey's awesome in it, and I just got a huge kick out of it because the bad person in the movie reminded me so much of my mom. So I'm 15, 16, and I come home from the movie theater, and I'm like, Ma, I just fucking watched this movie. It's so great. You gotta watch it. So a year and a half or 2 years go by because that's how long it took for fucking movies to come out on video. And I rented it and brought it home to show her. She was not impressed. She fucking was. My mom could just hold a grudge, and she was not impressed. But then I was telling that story at the Eclectic, and in the movie, Danny DeVito's character's name was Owen, and a kid who used to come in there, Eric Jenkins. He used to come into the Eclectic all the time. He would be. He'd always try to get modest. He's like, Ma, just say Owen. And she'd be like, fuck you, like she wouldn't do it. So he was giving her shit about that one day, and then he leaves, and the bar's, the cafe, or when I say bar, it was a coffee bar, is full of people. And the phone rings, and my mom picks it up, and she goes, Eclectic Cafe. And he's like, yeah, is Owen there? She goes, I don't know, just a second. Owen! And the entire fucking bar just burst out laughing. And she grabs
Jenkins,
the phone.
you evil genius.
And she goes, I'm going to gut you from your nose to your nuts. And fucking hangs up the phone. Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's
that
a pretty
bitch.
excellent story.
Yeah. So that was interesting. So we were talking a little bit before about this excellent shirt that you're wearing.
Man, would you like to know more?
I didn't get the reference, but it is from Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, which if you've read the book, you probably hate the movie. But if you've only seen the movie, you probably love the movie.
I, of course, read the book, and I hated the movie. And, it's like, I'm okay with people taking some liberties with a book, and books aren't really, I don't think that they're sacred, I was totally cool with the way, when they redid Lord of the Rings, I was totally cool with what Peter Jackson did with that. And he definitely worked that story over.
He took some liberties.
Lots of them, but I was okay with that. But Robert Heinlein, who wrote Starship Troopers, he was more than a science writer, science fiction writer. He was a fucking prophet, man, and wrote some really important sacred books. That book was about Starship Troopers was basically written in protest of the nuclear testing, Did that come through in the movie?
No.
All it was about was fucking weird ant people, There was not.
It's not about weird ant people.
It's about weird ant. It was so bad. But I was just, when we were talking about it beforehand, I looked up Heinlein because I was trying to remember what else he wrote that I really liked, and I realized that he wrote Stranger in a Strange Land. Have you ever read that book?
I have not. Heinlein,
so good.
Okay, of course, The Moon is Harsh Mistress.
That's the only one I think that I haven't read.
Did he write Animal Farm?
No, that's George Orwell.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No. But Heinlein wrote Stranger in a Strange Land, which is a story about a human who was raised on Mars by Martians. You gotta remember, this is written in whatever it was, and then comes back to live amongst humans on Earth. And it's such an interesting, kind of important book. But one of the things in the book is that the Martian uses this word, grok, right? And it's it means I get what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. I grok it, right? Well, I have been saying that since I was 23 and read that book. It's just become part of my vernacular. And I fucking forgot that's where that word came from. And when I was looking it up, I was it said something like Heinlein is kind of famous for introducing, words to the English language, because grok is a word that you can look it up in the dictionary, and it's not like a slang. It's an actual word, such as grok. And I was like, oh my fucking God, Heinlein is so important to my life, because I say that all the time. And I, and I try to use it in the way it was really meant. I completely understand where you're coming from. I can see this from your eyes. So I grok it.
And the
didn't grok Starship Troopers the movie, though. I'll tell you that. I thought that was a piece of shit.
It was a great sci-fi military picture, and they just kind of they give and when you're going to name a movie after a book, you should probably do more than just give the book the occasional nod. But that's all they did in the movie. It was still really cool.
I think they gave the book an occasional finger. They didn't they were it was fuck you and all your high, moral
It
stances.
is kind of
It was a pro-war movie. The movie when it came off, I was angry about it when it came out. I got to tell you.
or against the aliens, you know. Never forget Clendathu. But yeah, that so I love that goddamn movie. It was between this and my my Westworld shirt.
Oh,
yeah. But
now that's Westworld was a book too, and I never read that. Right?
me neither. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of my list of books that I mean, I even like bookmarked this page, and it was like 50 books that you should read, you know, and I'm like, man, apparently I've been wasting my fucking time, you know, like, but because I thought that I was, you know, for a guy like me, I feel well read, you know.
Well, for a guy like you can read.
Right.
That was an asshole.
Well, no, you know, like it's just, you know, like I come from it's my mother's fault. You know, like I wouldn't have read, you know, I wouldn't have been such a bookish kid had my mother not been such an avid reader. And I mean, I lived out in the sticks, and we had like 2 channels, and one of those was PBS. So I mean, I watched old Doctor Who episodes and read books, you know, but and I read a lot of books. But yeah.
I wanted to bring
Starship
up
Troopers, great shit.
Yeah, Starship Troopers. I wanted to bring up a movie we could agree on. You put a Facebook post out the other day that you're looking for some steel to make a thing to hang up your punching bag.
Yes.
And it looks like that's been solved, right? Danny's got something for you. Or?
Well, you know, it hasn't been solved yet, but I'm looking at some possibilities. I actually had written that down because one thing that I did get when I put that thing up that I was looking for steel for that stand for a 100-pound heavy bag was all kinds of unrelated advice.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so much fucking advice.
Well,
that's not, you know, like shit that I was not even fucking, and I'm like, oh, you know, people with all these suggestions and stuff, and I'm like, man, that's Facebook for you. Thanks for the fucking advice. You know, everybody's offering all this, like I haven't been hanging.
I like the one, like, you can just build it out of wood and like, yeah, or hang it from the rafter. It's like, you obviously like maybe thought it through a little bit, and you want what you want, and
right? You know, like I've been hanging. You know, like I haven't had a heavy bag. You know, forget about the fact that I've had a heavy bag since I was fucking 7 years old. You know, and like hung these up in fucking many places, many locations. You know, like, and I know how this shit works.
We down at Performance Compound, we had went through a rash of ripping heavy bags out of the walls and the ceilings, and like it's a bitch. I mean, a heavy bag weighs 100 pounds, maybe.
Well, you got 50 pound, 75 pound, 100 pound.
Not a big deal. I mean, you can hang that from a 2x4, no big deal. Right. But then you start fucking hitting
wailing
that
on
thing,
it,
and that puts a lot of. I mean, and it's like you're jiggling it, and man, I mean, like it'll pull fucking screws out of walls. It'll, you know, it's a tough one.
You know, you can hang it in the garage. You know, hang it in an attached garage, and people inside are going to be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Oh, right. It rattles the whole house. Yeah.
So I mean, you know, like basement. You know, like the stand. Just like when I was like looking at the stands, I'm like, "That's the fucking way to go." You know.
I know Danny Zellweger said he's got one. And Danny, we're trying to define people we talk about. Danny's a good friend of mine who trains down in St. Cloud, who we are going to have on the podcast at some point. And I figured maybe we could have him on the podcast, and then he can bring the stand up. It'll be perfect. But super cool guy and very interesting. I want to talk to him at some point. But yeah, but I've used those big Century, you know, stands, and they're
yeah, great. I mean. Fuck.
Though I do think having Josh Carter weld you one would be really fucking cool too.
Yeah,
Josh Carter is another friend of ours. We talk about fairly often on the show.
We reference him,
but he's a master welder. He's actually the instructor at the college now, the welding instructor at the college now. But yeah, great guy. What I liked about the post though was that Ron Behrens said, the riddle of steel."
Yes,
sending me down a rabbit hole for the day, which. We should make tally marks every time we say rabbit hole. But he, and I was like, you know, like it just sent me down the whole Conan the Barbarian road. And I had to post on there that, you know, what is the power of steel? What's the quote? What is steel but for the hand that wields it? Yeah, that's a great line. So
not not quite as memorable as Conan. What is best in life? That whole crush your enemies thing. But yeah, that of course another great movie that we reference all the time. If you haven't watched Conan, what the fuck is wrong with you?
If you haven't watched Conan, yeah.
You'll never understand.
You know, that's funny that you bring that up because he says, you know, crush your enemies beneath your feet. You know, the laminate. What's the word?
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
Okay, so I thought it was lamination. Okay, and so I saw that when I was 8, maybe 7 or 8. I begged my dad to bring me to Conan the Barbarian, and I may have told the story already, but. Begged him, and I promised
you
him
won't have nightmares.
I made him promise I wouldn't have nightmares, and of course I did have nightmares because it was a very bloody, violent show to show an 8-year-old. But I kept that shit to myself. I used to watch it 3-4 times a week. You know, and when they came, I wore out the VHS tape multiple times, and.
That's what I did with The Devil in Mr.
But I really did think he said lamination of the women. And I was like, I don't even know if they had laminators back then.
Why would you laminate the women?
Yeah, I just fucking could not get it. And
Make them easy to clean?
And the word is lamentation, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't even really know what that means. It means
like lament?
Yeah, like suffering, right?
You know, yeah, like lament is like, you know, like crying over something, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah. So he seems like he was being mean.
Yeah.
What a dick.
You know.
But he was Conan.
It is, you know, one of the things that's best in life, apparently.
What else you got on your list? At least you wrote some notes this time.
I did bring a bunch of notes. So our buddy Tony Brown.
Downtown Tony Brown.
Our master jeweler, our connection for all things from that world, who is a fucking genius and love you. He sent us some barbecue sauce. He makes barbecue sauce.
Yeah, which is weird, but good, interesting.
Yeah, you know, well, he cooks a lot. He is a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
He's got diverse tastes, and you'll meet him someday. We'll get him on the show. He is fucking hilarious. He's a very funny guy, very personable guy, and he's got some good stories. And yeah.
So he sent you up some barbecue sauce, but you're too much of a pussy to try it.
No, I tried it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. He sent us 2 bottles, one for each of us. So.
How did you like yours?
I loved it. You know, because I was afraid because he told me it was a little hot, and I was able to enjoy it. And you know, like I've got those fucking, you know, the wasp, you know,
right.
taste buds thing, like mayo is spicy to me and shit,
right,
you know.
Right.
What is this? It's spicy. Water, you know. What is this in it? It's a lemon. But that's, you know, like one of the things about like growing up in my house, like one of the reasons that I love my mom's cooking to this day is because I can taste every goddamn every ingredient. Mm-hmm. Because basically there's no seasoning of any kind.
Right.
And that's how how I grew up. And to this day, I still love that. But I have also learned to love flavors. You know, and I mean, especially like throughout my dating life and stuff, you know, one of the coolest thing, you know, like we'll call it the second coolest thing, about, you know, dating all these girls from like various, you know, like really varied backgrounds, you know, like Asian girls, Hispanic girls, black girls and stuff, like sampling different cuisine and stuff like that. Also, like I know a lot of chefs and everything. So I mean, just like my adult life, you know, branching out into like, you know, and trying different foods and stuff. Surprise, surprise, I like food. You, Kyle? No way.
Weird.
But yeah, which reminds me, I finally tried a couple of places that we've talked about. We've had their proprietors on the show. Wow, I just fucking totally.
Yeah, that was really good. Well, I want to talk about the fucking barbecue sauce. So I didn't realize that you also had a bottle, but I thought you were just giving it to me because you were too much of a pussy to take it. But
no, I tried it.
I really liked it. I was trying to think of how to describe it, and I came up with like, you know, that boysenberry syrup that they have at Perkins that you eat when you're really fucked up.
I don't experiment with syrups. I'm a maple guy.
Okay. Well, if you're ever really fucked up and you need to go get a Grand Slam 12-pound breakfast or whatever the fuck they call that thing
It's a tremendous 12.
Oh, that's what it's called. I seriously
Ask a fat guy.
I seriously I only eat there like if it's like the middle of the night when
And it's the only thing open.
It's the only thing open, and
It's there or Deli Express
out,
if you can fucking negotiate the cops and work a microwave.
and you're always like hammered. So, anyway, they have this syrup there called boysenberry syrup, and it's this like really super sweet, like, you know, boysenberry syrup. But then, so I felt like this barbecue sauce was like that. If boysenberry syrup, like, you know, got with Devil's Pit from what is the rib place or the I don't even know what the fuck place is called, but we're wrecking this one. But anyway, Devil's Pit barbecue sauce, super fucking spicy. So like if they had a love child, that's what this shit was. It was really sweet, but it was really spicy, and it was just, I thought it was a great combination. I love that savory sweet and spiciness too. So it's very good. So I'm looking forward to having Tony on.
I enjoyed it too. I found it sweet and sweet and fruity.
Yeah.
Much like myself.
Ooh, yeah, you are fruity.
And it wasn't over the top because, like I said, I can't handle really spicy shit. It wasn't too much.
When we went to the farm dinner, we went to the farm dinner the night before we were supposed to go on the walk that I didn't show up to. Let's just leave that lie. But they had appetizers. And Kyle they're just walking around and everybody's taking shit off the plate, and Kyle takes a bite, and he just gets this look on his face, and Christine's like, "Oh, sweetie, you need a glass of water." And I was like, "What the fuck's his problem?" He's like spitting it out, and like, I was like,
he's completely overplayed.
It was nothing. It was like it wasn't even spicy.
It was a little spicy. I may have gotten
it was a cucumber.
It was a potato, Kyle. It was raw potato.
No, Jenna does not make raw potatoes. Though if she did, they would be fucking delicious.
Yes.
Speaking of Jenna, she is going to be our guest next week. She's just an amazing chef. And she's got a lot of cool stuff going on. So that'll be very fun.
Excellent.
Okay, what else you got on your list there, Bubba?
Yeah. So the restaurants. So I had breakfast at the Chameleon.
Yep.
Man. And it is amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Really fucking delicious.
I went up there, just like the day or two after we had Craig on. It was great.
Man,
he was really shorthanded though. His help didn't show up, and he got the food out fine. He wasn't having any issues, but after I left, I saw a post on his Facebook saying like, "Anybody got an hour or two to come help me do some dishes?" And I was like, "Shit, man, I totally would have jumped back there and done dishes. You should ask me."
Man, yeah, he was the only person there when we were there as well. But that's cool because I super enjoy Craig, and he was our waiter and our cook, and rang and our host, and pulled it all off, and everything was wonderful. It was super wonderful. I was really, really happy. I was surprised at how inexpensive it was for the high quality of the food.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, he keeps his costs down. He does everything himself. He busts his ass.
Yeah, he doesn't have any labor costs, that's for sure. I got a chance to check his kitchen out too, which I was. I'd been in there a few times, but I hadn't really noticed.
Big, open, clean.
Yeah, it's great. You can see right into it. I like a kitchen, a galley kitchen, I think is what it's called, where you can see into it, and it's very cool.
I also, Christine and I got to check out PJ's place.
You got up to the
Headwaters.
To Headwaters, yeah.
Man, that's fancy.
It's fucking fancy, isn't it?
Yeah, and fucking A. The place is beautiful. The tables are great. The music, everything was just perfect. Like the music was just the right volume, and so atmosphere and everything. High points. Our server was wonderful.
Who was your server? Do you remember? Was it?
Her name was.
Okay.
I think her name was Lisa. Then of course PJ came out and You know, I mean, other than that, the place was really great. You know, fuck that guy. We love that guy. He's awesome. But yeah, and at one point, Christine's like, "Are you seriously cutting your steak with a knife or with a fork?" And I'm like, "Yup." You know, just boop. Yeah, it was.
So if you don't know what Kyle's talking about, it's Headwaters Grill or Headwaters, whatever the hell it's called. But it's just past Hackensack, and
on Highway 371.
It is like a high end, you know, upscale restaurant that our friend PJ Severson uses or runs.
To the best of my, I mean, I haven't eaten at every restaurant north of Minneapolis, although, you know, I probably look like I have. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say, is that the nicest restaurant north of Minneapolis?
It's the only one that I can find that I can think of that's comparable is actually the Dancing Fire Grill, which is in Walker. You've been there, right? Oh, there, it's pretty great. We were talking about it last week.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
But it's a really high end restaurant in the Walker Casino, which is a fucking dump. But the restaurant is awesome, and but I think Headwaters is you know on par with that.
And I haven't been to Lure yet in Alexandria. That's a really nice place. I can't wait to eat there. But we'll be having its proprietor on sooner or later as well. I talked to him last weekend, hopefully in November. That's my boy Andy Mack.
Oh, good.
So we can nerd out once again and talk restaurant stuff as well. But yeah, I was just fucking blown away.
And I mean, it's fairly priced too. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
not, they don't give the food away, obviously, and you're paying for, you know, all of the niceness of it too. But it's not completely unreasonable. It's good.
No, we were very. I mean, our experience was top notch across the board.
I got to get up there again. It's just a long way.
You and I'll go up there on Valentine's Day.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I got nothing going on Valentine's Day.
No, why would you? Me neither.
Actually, Yeah, PJ always puts on a fucking amazing spread for Valentine's Day. It just at the 218 here in town, they do a great Valentine's Day dinner as well. I was lucky enough to get the aftermath of that with my amazing stroganoff. Yeah. Have you been out to the Wings Cafe in the airport yet?
I have not, but I have heard
got to get out there. It's a little bit of a well, actually, I think it might be better now, but it's a little shitty to get to with the road construction.
Sure,
it was tough. One time it took me, I don't know, half hour, and it's like 2 minutes out of town. But it was worth the wait. I mean, the fucking the food there is just fantastic. Completely the opposite like scale of it, you know, because it's a diner. It's a diner. It's very, you know, when you walk in the place, everything's clean. It's great, but it just doesn't look like it's gonna have amazing fucking food. It's like walking into an old Denny's or something, and then you're like, oh my god, this is unbelievably good. So I really, you gotta get out there. Mark Nesham is the chef out there, who is an amazing chef. He used to be the chef on Ivan's on the Bay. So yeah, cool.
Which Ivan's is now the Northern Cowboy. And they have we're just doing a restaurant show, and they have maybe the best fish tacos that I've experienced so far. Yeah,
interesting. I like fish tacos, which is weird because I don't really eat fish in restaurants very often. But I used to go to Maury's when they had the restaurant in the old Maury's, and they had some amazing fish tacos. And then I was like, fucking fish tacos sound disgusting. But they're really good.
Delightful.
Yeah. You like fish a lot, right? You do the fish and chips at the...
Absolutely. And, well, that's another thing. Up at the Headwaters, like PJ gets his seafood. Like he gets a lot of seafood flown in. It's very fresh, flown in from Boston. My mother-in-law was really impressed. She was like, she works at a higher end restaurant in Boston, and she was like, their crab cakes are better than ours. Which, you know, and she's like, and I brag about ours.
I wonder if he does his crab cakes in that amazing wood-fired oven. I'll have to ask him about that because that might be why they're so good.
Can't know.
Because that makes a great that wood-fired pizza oven is an amazing thing. And I know when he was on the show, I actually just listened to that show of the other day. I'm kind of going back and listening to some of the random shows, and that was a fucking fun one. We got to have that guy on again with better audio this time.
I like to go back and check them out just to see how my speech impediment has progressed.
Yeah,
or
you've gotten much better.
Right? Holy shit! Thanks for bearing with us. If you were one of those people that watched those early ones, I was a stammering fucking idiot.
My son
now
Peyton
I'm just a fucking idiot.
My son Peyton has been getting into listening to podcasts lately. He's listening to this one about these guys record themselves playing D&D, and he just loves it.
I think that's one that I checked out, that I've been checking out as well.
Really? He just thinks it's the best, and I was like, that's just weird, dude, but whatever. And then I'm like, why don't you listen to my podcast? And he's like, whatever. So anyway, he's like, Dad, I started listening to your podcast. I said, oh, which one do you listen to? And he's like, just the first one. I was like, ooh,
yeah, that.
You should skip ahead. Like I felt like our podcast started on 5.
It took me so long to quit stammering and fidgeting and shit like that. Now, and I'm always aware of stuff. Like if I could stop saying and or whatever, I think that's what it is that I say like constantly. It's infuriating.
The way you talk doesn't bother me at all. I love it. All that bothers me about the first maybe 5 episodes is how shitty the audio quality was. That's what bugs me. So I just think it was technical. But I still think content. We've always done all right on content.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, solid-ish anyway.
That the show that he's watching, the podcast with the guys playing D&D. One thing that I always I watch that. I've seen a few of them now. I don't know why the hell I enjoy it. And I really don't know why I enjoy it, because I think back to my old gaming sessions, with Sam and Tharg and Nathan and Everett and stuff. And I'm like, God damn, we should have been recording that shit, because we're way funnier than these fucking guys. And if you watch these guys, they are kind of your typical, that they're the fucking geeks you think of when you think of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's funny. Speaking of Sam Gibbons, who apparently we need to talk about every fucking episode, but he
deserves it.
He does. But he posted on Facebook that he was going to start his own podcast called Building Character. And I think he's joking, but if he's not, it's a fucking great idea.
That's a brilliant idea.
And in it, he was going to have somebody roll up a character in D&D, and then also talk about building character as whatever. I was like, dude, that's a fucking good idea. If you could hammer out a half-hour episode of that, I think people would go apeshit for that.
And especially have you ever generated a character in GURPS, generic universal role-playing system?
I know what GURPS is. Oh. That was insulting.
All right, my bad. I insulted your nerd. Your nerd. So I think that it would be more fun to generate that character in GURPS, because you can add points to your total by taking certain disadvantages.
Okay.
And after you generate a couple of characters in GURPS, you start picking yourself apart anyway. You're like, I have that disadvantage, and disadvantages are all kinds of shit, overconfidence is a disadvantage, compulsive carousing, shit like that. And the list and stuff, it's just so fucking awesome. And
so the more disadvantages you have, the stronger you can be, or the faster you can be, or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
And even if he's not serious, I feel like we should devote an episode to having him on where we generate characters and do exactly that thing.
Hey, that would actually be cool. We could do a little pilot episode.
We got to have him back on anyway. We had
we cut that one short.
Yeah, he was on for fucking 45 minutes, and it was anyway one of my personal favorite episodes. We had a fucking great time.
Yeah, I had a ton of fun doing it, because I was gonna fucking kill Tharg. Everybody, I was so I was having such a hard time controlling myself during that episode, because Tharg got his hair cut that day, shaved his head, got a little drunk, and was fucking stumbling around in the background, and I was not having it. I didn't enjoy it. Though listening to the episode, it's weird because you can't really tell other than my bulging vein. I get this bulging vein when I'm pissed off, and that's it. That's all you could tell. So I did a good job. Other than when I said, "Take your fucking drink off my table." That's the only time you can kind of tell that.
Shit, it was a good time though.
Yeah, we definitely got to have him back up.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got something else on my list here. Now, our friend and good friend of the show, Eric Anderson.
Yeah.
He took our recommendation and watched Godless.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The Western series on Netflix.
Your recommendation, because I still haven't watched it.
Damn you. Man, I'm going to have to fucking kidnap you and like Clockwork Orange, you fucking like your eyes open in the goddamn theater and make you watch shit pretty soon here.
I'm down as long as you'll hold me if it's sad. That's all I need.
Fair enough. But so he watched Godless and he loved it, and he said he can't wait for season 2.
Cool. I read it. What are you talking about? There was something more.
Yeah. So about that, Eric. Consider that one kind of like a mini series, and it was wrapped up. That
there is
as much as I would love for a season 2 of I would love a season 2 of Godless. Could totally pull it off. They're not pursuing that, which bums me out because I fucking love that show. So I was gonna put it on Facebook, but then I was like, nope. Might as well give him another little shout out and tell him on the show because he listens. He's an avid listener. Yep. There is no season 2 of Godless in the future.
Well, that's a bummer. Eric, we were talking about trying to figure out a time to actually have him on as a guest.
Yes, we haven't nailed that down yet, but we're working on it.
But he posted on Facebook something today about climate change, global warming, whatever. And I read it, and I was like, he's got a nice balanced approach.
He's a very reasonable
thing.
guy,
and I was like,
he's a grown up.
Yeah, it's like a grown up. I'm sure we don't agree on all issues, but man, I was like, it's a very interesting, balanced, thoughtful approach to something.
Well, that's one of the great things about him. Like
then I started reading the comments on it, and I'm like, I'm fucking done. I'm out of this conversation.
Well, that's the comments on fucking anything, like you can't post shit without somebody, like, dar, 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 they come and take a big fucking crap on it, and you're like, ugh, thanks, stupid.
Well, go ahead. I don't.
No, but Eric, once upon a time, he posted like an angry tirade, and he was like, just unfriend me if this is the way you're voting, blah, 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 and I was like, regardless of which way you vote, I'm still going to respect you and consider you a friend. And he was like, you're absolutely right. Thank you. And then he has done the same for me when I've just gone off and been a shithead on Facebook, which I'm prone to do. And he's like, do you really feel that way, man? Just been the voice of reason. And I'm like, man, thanks, Eric. He's just a very reasonable, very mature guy,
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about him. But you guys will meet him. If you don't know him already, we're going to have him on sooner than later, as soon as we nail that down. But yeah.
Well, speaking of comments, so last week we had Gavin Rydell on, and if you haven't watched that show, go back and watch it because it honestly was one of my favorite episodes. I think it helps. I say that all the time. That's my favorite episode, but I really, really liked it. I think it helps that I like Gavin so much. He's such an interesting and cool dude. Also, we had a little bit of an axe to grind because he is in the vape industry, and and right now, if you don't know, the vape industry is under attack, and they want to make it illegal to sell flavored e-juice because all of 8 people have died.
Is it 8 or is it 6?
Who the fuck knows? I think it's 8.
It's a staggering number.
I think it's 8.
Big picture.
have died being connected to it. And
yeah.
6 of that 8 were using non-approved, THC products. So it's like whatever. Again, 8 people. The only thing that kills fewer people than vaping is sharks. And possibly ocelots.
So it's not as dangerous as like peanut butter or anything like that. But
right. But we definitely should ban it.
Which Hey, when the ocelots have peanut butter, watch out.
So Gavin posted on his Facebook, I believe it was today, a little follow-up thing or whatever. And it was actually a Fox News clip. And I typically don't watch Fox News clips because I like to stay inside my echo chamber. But it was very, it was good. It was really good. They got into like why this is fucking ridiculous. And then he had somebody comments on there, and I still have no idea what the comment was, what it meant. It was like, it said like, are you going to read it?
I'm going to pull it up. Yeah, you keep talking.
Okay.
I'm going to find it quick.
Well, it was, it was ridiculous. I'll wait till you read it because I don't want to try to sum it up and then be like completely wrong. At some point, Sam Gibbons is going to help us. We're going to be able to like do this. We're going to be able to like pull shit up onto our screen. Well, yeah, but he was talking about this program where I can like actually do this and then it'll just pop up on the screen. I don't know.
Yes.
It sounds like magic to me, but.
Okay, the comment is, I'm not going to name the name, whatever. But the comment is, Trump is no, that's KNOW, Trump is no to vape, common sense, and libtard baby dust.
Right.
Once again, Trump is no to vape, common sense, and libtard baby dust.
Pretty amazing. Yes. So I sat there and I was looking at that and I was trying to like take words out of it to like try to make it make sense. And I have fucking no idea what they were talking about. And so I'm like, yeah. So anyway.
Well, you know, and usually like I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but anytime I see libtard, I go, you know, my mind just, I know that person has sex with blood relatives.
And well, I thought Libtard Baby Dust was a great name for a line of e-juice.
I was thinking a band, but
oh yeah, it would be good too. I think it'd be a great line, a good name for a line of e-juice because it would just be perfect. Well, it looks like His Highness Councilman Badeaux is at our door. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back with Dave Badeaux.
This will be fun. You guys like Dave?
It'll probably be all right. Yeah. Stick around, find out, whatever. All right. Welcome back to Spitball. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And today we have Dave Badeaux. How do you say your name?
Yeah, it's bidet. It's bidet.
But like, yes. Oh, it's like the thing you use to like flush your butt.
It's the thing you use when you don't know how to wipe properly.
Yeah. Well, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's actually Badeaux, but you can really call me whatever you want. That's not a problem.
It looks like Badoux.
It does. It does look like Badoux. It's got an X on the end, which
is cool.
It is cool, and not to jump straight into my life, but we have another baby on the way, due the end of this month, and we have decided to call him Xander. So his name will start with an X and will end with an X, and I have decided that I'm going to call that little brat Dos Equis. So that's the excitement of my life and my name.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. I didn't
on the baby, not on that stupid name.
Come on, you don't like the name Xander?
No, I would go with Xavier.
Xavier's cool, but Xavier.
I always think it's funny when people like name their children funny shit. Like I knew this guy who's what the hell was it? Oh yeah, his name was something Hardy, and he had a daughter, and he named her Laura Ann. Like, you dick.
Right? That's harsh.
Yeah.
But I really can't talk because, you know, like my son, I named him after my father, and which is all good because there's a lot of guys in my dad's age group with that name. But to walk around as a 20-something young man named Gordy, like that was a harsh thing to do to a kid his age, you know, like that's an old man name. Yeah. Everybody's got a grandpa Gordy or an uncle Gordy or some shit like that.
Yeah, it never even occurred to me because
Uncle Gordy sounds like a guy that you know like four of.
Yeah. You know, and so I really can't pick on anyone's choice. You know, but it doesn't stop me. I mean, it's just that I shouldn't because I do, you know, I do pick on you know, like a lot of the super common names, you know, like I always fuck with people like, hey, I'm gonna, now I'm an asshole.
You are.
Sorry, Gavin. Jackson. Like after Sons of Anarchy came out, like every other male child in the country was named Jackson for like many years.
Yeah, I never watched that
They call
either.
him Jax, and I'm like, and fucking when they get to school, then like 10 kids stand up in their class and shit. It's like, okay, fuck. Didn't really think that through.
Yeah, so sorry to derail that real quick,
Oh,
but yeah.
that's what we do.
Yeah, the name is Badeaux. Dave
Yeah,
Badeaux.
I know.
Yeah.
It's Badeaux. Yeah.
Thanks
I don't
for
know
that,
how
though.
to refer to you though. Do we refer to you as
I
your
like that you just
Highness?
James Bonded that shit.
Yeah.
The name is Badeaux. Dave Badeaux.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. Let's be classy about it. Yeah, I'm a councilman.
So like your honor, what's the right honorific?
Not quite your honor, but you can, bow when I come in the room.
Whoa.
That's for damn sure.
We will refer to you as the Honorable Dave Badeaux.
Yeah,
I like that.
Please do. Yeah, that's the weirdest part of my life. And
Is
yeah.
being named Badeaux?
Yeah, being named Badeaux and then also being bowed every time I come into
Oh,
a room.
yeah.
It's getting
Yeah.
weird.
It is weird.
At first, it seemed correct. I'm not going to lie.
I feel like you deserve that.
Yeah. But now it's gotten weird because it's like, again, we're doing this more?
I met you several years ago, and not gonna lie, I kind of felt the urge to bow then. You weren't even into politics. You weren't even in politics at that point. But I feel like it's kind of a natural thing.
Yeah, no. Just because your audience doesn't know, I am an asshole. I'm a huge asshole. But most things that I say, I'm really just fucking with people. And I find it very pleasurable to fuck with people and then not tell them that I'm fucking with people.
Yeah, that's actually what an asshole is.
Yeah, so then I
definition.
am a huge asshole for that, and it gets me into trouble. But so that your audience knows,
Do you drive slow in the passing lane?
No, absolutely not. And actually, I love that you feel the same way about that. And God damn it, I love that Minnesota is so progressive that we went ahead and said, no, screw you. You're going to learn that this is how we drive.
Yeah, if only one ticket had fucking been written for that in the whole time, since they fucking passed that law, it would be amazing.
Well, exactly.
It means something because it fucking doesn't happen any less now. People still do it as much.
No.
And,
But I'll tell you what's nice about it is when you have a law like that and you don't have a lot of other things to worry about, then you can start doing PSAs for it. So that's what I'm waiting for, is that when we get to the point where the PSAs come on and some guy just in a very calm voice is explaining why you're a douchebag.
Oh, no. We should do PSAs for
should
it.
do
That's
PSAs.
actually a good idea. Because
Right.
I'm going to
Yeah.
use the word cunt in a public service announcement.
Right.
And I'm going to use it a lot.
This is what will happen to you if you drive slow in the fast lane.
Right.
Yeah.
Kyle's ripping somebody's arms.
Right, I'm following. I'm following him home. I'm fucking. And you thought you were just using it as an extra long turn lane, and then I'm fucking following them into their yard, and then I'm beating them over the head with a fucking brick, maybe violating their corpse, whatever.
I went down this road the other day. I don't even know who posted it. It was someone. It was the Onion thing on Facebook, but and it brought me to their YouTube page, and then I probably
If you
watched
don't know about the
40
Onion,
of them. Yeah,
you're a fucking
if you don't know about the
troglodyte. We're not
Onion,
even-
One of the greatest things there is.
But there was this one about defensive driving. This guy was on there talking about being a defensive driver, and basically he was like, "Yeah, no, you don't want to lose your temper when they don't go when the light turns green. You just follow them to their house, and then take really long videos and send them really long videos of you camped outside their house."
Oh my God.
That's pretty funny. So, so Dave,
Yeah.
you are a city council person
I-
for the city of Brainerd.
Yeah, I am a city councilman, alderman, if you please.
Alderman.
No, I started off. That was my first dick move. When people would call me councilman, I would always correct them and make sure they refer to me as
See,
alderman.
I say council
just
person
what else are you
I'm not
supposed to do?
gender specific.
That's why I was thinking altered man. What?
Yeah, but I represent the northeast section of Brainerd, which traditionally gets shit on, and it's a great place to live. It's where I live, and
Well, I mean, it's northeast. It's kind of a shithole.
you can say that it's a shithole, but
That's where my house is.
Come live over there.
That's where
you
my
do?
house is, yeah.
Well, where are you at? Over?
7th Avenue.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's a shithole.
Yeah,
my house
whatever.
is a shithole. I have
Well-
the shittiest house on the block. So.
Well, that's you then. You're the person we're trying to correct
Well, yeah, you send me fucking letters all the time.
and mow your fucking lawn.
Stop selling crack.
Yeah, but no, I got involved at the city level, and now it has become my entire life. So,
Yeah, and you enjoy it?
I do. It is. It's a lot of work, and I don't say that as though I don't want to do the work. It's just I was not expecting it to be my entire life. I thought, okay, yeah, a couple meetings a month. There's health insurance. You get paid a little bit of money, and I thought, I can actually do something for my city and not just be the guy on the sidelines bitching about everything. Be the guy that steps up and actually tries to take care of some stuff. But I did not think that it was going to take everything that I was doing and make that something I can't do anymore. You can't be a guy running around saying fucking vagina all the time and then go, hey, by the way,
this isn't a private conversation.
No, I know this isn't a private conversation, but
I
also understand that people who are out there probably have a better idea of who I am from the city side of things now. If you're... And
he also realizes that 2 people watch this.
Well, that is true as well. You're going to get that. I think, as PJ said, you had 6 views, and all of them were Katie. So, Katie, hello. But no, I'm not that worried. I'm not so worried about it anymore. But I will say that I was doing stand-up comedy at the time. I completely stopped doing it because I was running for city council. I had a podcast that we stopped doing because I felt it was getting inappropriate to say a lot of the stuff we were saying. And it's not that I want to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. It's that the hardest thing for me in becoming a councilman was realizing that if I screw up, the headline won't even say Dave Badeaux. It will say Brainerd City Councilman. And that became a much heavier thing to carry than, because I'm a screw up. I'm an idiot. I will say really stupid things. I'll do a lot of stupid stuff, but I don't want my city to look bad. And when you hold a position like that, you have to be more aware that it isn't just about you, it's about your actual city, which is the whole reason why
Excuse me. There's that sinus thing again.
It's the whole reason why I ran was to better my city, and I want to make sure that I'm not, putting a big smear on it as well.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Okay, well, thank you.
No,
thank you for making my biggest existential crisis of my life right now seem trivial and stupid.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Fantastic. Glad to be here.
We did talk a little bit about it yesterday or last week when we were talking to Gavin about how we don't we kind of made a decision early on not to worry about trying to get sponsors.
No,
and
you shouldn't.
And stuff. And part of the reason for that is that I don't want to be beholden to anybody in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to worry about what I'm going to say if it's going to reflect badly upon anybody.
Yeah.
And so I can grok that I don't want if I were representing the city, I wouldn't want to necessarily say anything I want to say, but that's why I could never do anything like that.
Well, and to be fair, in my normal life, I'm not like that. It's always amazing to me when I'm talking to somebody, typically at the 9th Street bar or something like that, hanging out, and somebody gets shocked that I am the way that I am. Well, I'm not going to be different. In a professional setting in front of the council, I'm not going to use a bunch of swear words and stuff. But in my day-to-day life, I am who I am, and I am the guy that likes to be inappropriate and likes to have a lot of fun and say really stupid shit. But there is that extra layer on top of it, is that you probably shouldn't be standing on a stage with a microphone saying the really dirty jokes that I like to say.
Unless that is what you're there for.
Well, it is. So, and actually it's interesting because I'm at the point now where I've been doing it for 3 years. I'm up for re-election next year, and I finally got to the point where it's I'm not going to worry about that stuff anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, man.
Yeah.
So, why the fuck do you want to keep this water tower up?
The classic historic Brainerd water tower. Do you want me to gloss over and just go into the full presentation mode? Or?
I actually really am curious why.
Well, so from the standpoint, the standpoint of a city needs to have an identity, and a city needs to have a reason for you to be there. Sadly, we are in the middle of Minnesota, which for 2-3 weeks of the year is completely unbearable to be outside. Late January,
more like 9 months.
Yeah,
me,
and that's exactly right. But you have to have a reason to want to be somewhere. And initially in Brainerd, It was the brick yards, then the lumber yards, then the paper mill, then the railroad, which essentially is the whole reason why we're here is the railroad. Those industries have dried up and have moved on. And so really we're a city without an identity as far as a industrial standpoint, a job standpoint. So then you got to look at it and say, okay, well, what are the commercial opportunities for people here? Well, in today's current climate, it's all box stores. Well, there's no box stores in Brainerd. Okay, well, that's great for us moving forward because people are kind of trying to get back into the small shop type of scenario. But who are we if we don't have an identity? And the identity that we've held on to for the last, I mean, at least 50 years is that water tower.
Is Paul Bunyan's dick.
Well, okay, so it's lasted as long as it has, and you've used it as a symbol of your city, and it represents our city. And it's kind of like the Batman thing, where the symbol is sometimes greater than the actual thing itself.
Well, in this case, that must be true because the thing is actually worthless. Like it doesn't even fucking hold water.
It doesn't hold. Well, actually, you'd be surprised. I went up there and stepped in a good amount of muck, so there's water up there.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say
I got muck.
Yeah, I got little Kyles running around on my toes. But no, it's.
I'm into water towers.
Yeah, we're a city that has a structure that is 100 years old. Actually, it will turn 100 years next December, and it's not falling apart, but it's at risk of falling apart. It needs a roof, is essentially what the case is.
Well, it's definitely falling apart. I mean, you can see the side of it's coming off.
That's stucco. I mean, if you actually get up in that thing, and I recommend you get up in that thing, it's very sound. I mean, we're talking about a concrete structure that, in order for it to come down, is going to cost about $500,000. A very light estimate. It could be upwards of $750,000 because what they're going to have to do is build a crane, because they may not even have one that's big enough that we can just roll up, and you're going to have to clamp on chunk by chunk and just drill off pieces and take them down because it's not going to collapse.
Or Kyle and I can trebuchet. Yeah, Kyle and I can attack it with the trebuchet.
You could, except for there's a lawyer office attached to it, literally attached to it.
Yeah. Well,
what would we do?
Yeah. What would we do without a lawyer?
I'm not saying that the lawyer,
Fucking kidding. Don't sue me.
Yeah. What I'm saying is collapsing a 100-year-old structure on top of a lawyer is probably the worst financial decision you could make.
But it would be so Viking.
It would be very Viking. If you're going
you want to talk about Brainerd's identity, let us be that.
You are selling me on the concept now. If that's what it is, if we're just going to pillage and destroy things medieval style, then you're right up my alley.
So, okay. So you're saying it would cost a lot of money to take it down.
It's going to cost as much money to take it down as it will to fix it.
Once it's fixed, is it going to hold water?
What? No, it won't. It will probably never hold water again. We don't need it. We have a giant 1 million gallon tank right here. We just built another one.
So you're saying...
Can we put beer in it?
Probably.
So you're saying that it's going to cost... Did you just say it only costs $500,000 to fix it?
It's probably going to cost roughly $750,000 to fix it. That's to put a roof on it. That isn't to do any of the other.
Because that's nothing like this, like what I've read.
Well, that's because you have to craft a story and you have to make sure that people are understanding that it could cost way more than that. The entire project is probably around $1.6 million, but that includes the whole thing, the stucco, going in and cleaning around the windows and doing tuck pointing and all that stuff. That's a lot more work. The roof itself is what it needs in order to survive, and that rough estimate is probably $750,000. And the most of that is the crane. You got to get a giant crane to get all the stuff up there.
I think I can beat that if we're still talking about the identity thing. For $1.25 million, Brainerd can have my identity.
Oh,
I've got almost 2,000 Facebook friends.
Okay,
and if it's an identity they need, they can even have all my pictures, all my selfies and stuff.
What about the memes? Can we have the memes?
Totally, the memes of production.
Do you have some ownership over those, or is this a lease agreement?
Yes. I paid the iron price for those, and they are now mine. So, just an idea. I'm just going to put that out there. If you want to table that at the next city council meeting, I'm good.
Yeah.
So
if you want me to go into full councilman mode, the entire reason why I am the one that is kind of being the champion for saving it is as a representative of people, you know, whatever it is, if you're city or state or national, my belief in government is that government is the first thing that is most important is that we are being fiscally responsible with your money. Taking something that exists and removing it and spending a ton of money to do that isn't really the best way to spend people's money. But the other side of that is that I also don't think that taking a ton of money, $1 million, and throwing it at a structure is the best way to do it as well. So from that standpoint, what my job has been here in the last year and will continue to be for the next year is going out after all the avenues that we can go find funding. We're using, trying to get a grant through the Minnesota Historical Society to try and get some funding to actually get the plans, because we don't even really know how much it's going to cost. Until we have the funding to get the plans, then we can't put an exact dollar amount on it. And then once we've got a dollar amount on it, then we can go to the public and to some of these other sources of money, DNR and perhaps or other types of funding if it's available, to try and locate the money so that it isn't being put on the 14,000 citizens of Brainerd. And that includes donations, because I think that what you really need to do is go find people that are interested in saving it and then let them spend their money on saving it. If that's what they want to do, then they should have the ability to do that. That's their money. Let them do as they please. I would rather, as a person that is in charge of the funds for the city of Brainerd, I would rather take 2 years of my life and go try to find all those avenues and then come back and say, okay, citizens of Brainerd, you can vote on whether or not you want to spend the remainder amount of money to fix this or not. It's not my job to make that decision. It's my job to represent you and put you in the best position possible for that decision.
So the city of Brainerd owns the tower.
The city of Brainerd only owns the land that the tower itself is on, which it does not include anything outside of its foundation, which is really weird. So that huge tower, 140 feet, goes 7 feet into the ground, and the footings on that stick out a couple feet. It amazes me that it doesn't tip over, but you know, what do I know? I'm not an engineer.
Oh, well, I mean, it's going to tip over shortly, but so they don't own anything else.
No, they don't own. We don't own any of the land around it. We don't own the parking lot. We don't own the building.
And the building that's attached to it that used to be the Chamber of Commerce, the actual entrance to the water tower is inside that building.
So we just had to meet with the lawyer's office just recently, and because there was really nothing that was put into place to say, you know, what is the access, you know, what you got to have, the word is escaping me right now, but an easement. You have to have an easement to be able to get into it. The fact that the city of Brainerd allowed the chamber to attach that building to the water tower is a little alarming to me. And going back, I would love to be a fly on the wall in that conversation and say, okay, that's fine, but how did you not see that moving forward, what happens if you sell that building, which is exactly what happened. They sold the building. You walk in the front door of that office and the wall, not you know, there isn't any sheetrock or anything.
Right. It's the fucking water tower.
It's the water tower. It's the wall. It is that, like, the half, I shouldn't say half of that building, but half of one room's structure is the actual water tower, and you have to go through there to get into it. It's a clusterfuck of a mess that somebody should have taken care of previously, and it never should have got to where it is.
Boomers.
Yeah, what?
They're
boomers.
Baby boomers.
Oh,
yeah.
So the thing is that
worst generation period ever. Period.
The thing that bugs me about it, well, there's so many things that bug me about it, but one of the things that bugs me about it is that even if we were to be able to wave a magic wand and fix it up all nice and everything, we're still never going to be able to, like, go up in it and, you know, like, have people, like, there's a fucking building attached to it that we don't own, that the city of Brainerd doesn't own.
And you're probably looking at another $500,000 bare minimum for that building. There is the ability within the structure itself you could put a floor plan in there and actually have it be offices. There was a plan back in the 70s when they first removed the roof and put us in the situation that we are now, where they were going to do that. And having been in there and having looked at it and looked at all the schematics and stuff, it's completely doable to put flooring in there and have staggered flooring, which could be offices. It could serve a purpose at some point. I want your listeners to know that we are not advocating for that, because I can't advocate for things to happen moving forward if it isn't going to actually be saved.
Yeah.
But there is the possibility, if we wanted to, you could purchase that building and then put flooring in there, even if you wanted to. But even just purchasing that building and having that be a place where people went, which was what it was initially supposed to be, or what it initially was.
As the Chamber of Commerce.
As the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
It's a fantastic spot to have a Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. It's a really ugly ass building. It's attached to like an old,
Yeah.
But it looks
structure.
like a great place for a signal fire, so that, I mean, had we the need, we could signal the rest of Gondor.
Well, see, now I refer to it as the Beacon of the North. So
like
TM. I'm every place I go, I use that. It's exactly what I want it to be. I just want it to shine until the aliens or whomever show up. And
I've always referred to it as Paul Bunyan's dick.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think his dick has crenellations?
Hey, I'm not judging.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe he got into some.
Yeah. Why do any of our dicks have crenellations?
Well, that's a good point. I like to pretend that mine aren't there.
Yeah, when I first heard that there was a possibility that it was going to get tore down, I was like, how am I ever going to give directions now? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
what else would
right?
you do, man?
You go to the giant white dick, take a right.
Yeah.
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 It would be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it seems like it's an enormous amount of money
It is.
to fix a thing that doesn't actually serve a purpose. And it bugs me because the city of Brainerd has been legendary
That's
about
what it says on every doctor bill that I've ever received.
the city of Brainerd's been legendary about letting old structures get demolished.
Well,
that
so that
could have served a purpose.
There's a misconception in our area that the city has been taking down buildings. The city hasn't owned almost any of those buildings that have been taken down. It's private ownership. They purchase it and then they tear it down. And it is really sad that that a lot of the buildings have gone, and fire as well.
When I say the city of Brainerd, I don't mean the city council of Brainerd. Sure. I mean the people of Brainerd, like the Paramount Theater.
Yep. Yeah,
absolutely. The old
Yes,
roller rink. And the fucking Armory, which I think was the biggest travesty, because God, we needed more North Mortgage, like we needed a fucking hole in the brain.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I love that you just said that, because when I talk to people, there are two buildings that I love the most in Brainerd. One is still here and one is not, and one was the Armory. The Armory would have been a phenomenal structure to still have that could have served great purposes. I've seen armories of the same setup used for like concert venues.
Yeah, look at that.
The fucking Armory, the Armory in Minneapolis is the coolest fucking venue ever. Now, obviously, the Armory here in Brainerd was
like a third of the size.
Not even a third. Yeah. I mean, that place is huge. Shit, that bar is like almost, like
true.
I don't know how long it is. It's the longest bar in Minnesota.
The last time I was actually in there was when they were just using it for parking structure for a football game or something. We parked in there for some event, but it was big enough to park like a ton of vehicles. So that was a giant structure. Yeah. But you're right, like that building there would have been a great building for us to hang on to. But again, that's private ownership. People can purchase things. They can do whatever the hell they want with it. It's sad. And I think that's why we've gotten to the point now where people want to save the water tower, is because they feel like
it's the only thing left.
It really is the only thing
What's
left.
The other building that you're...
So the one that I really love is the one that's right down here. It's the tan building right on Front Street. It's
E.L. Mink building?
Well, no, E.L. Mink building is fantastic because that is the movie. That's from the movie Big, straight up. And go watch the movie Big and then go look at that. If you could live up in those up above E.L. Mink Jewelers, you would be Tom. I want to say Tom Cruise, but you would be Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's been 25 years since I've been up there, but
no, it's the old freight depot is what it is. And so if you look right on Front Street, a little bit below the water tower, there's a big long tan building that the railroad uses. So if you look at it, it's got bay doors that on the one side the train would pull up and they'd pull the stuff off, and then the trucks would back up and you'd pull the stuff off and put it on the trucks. And it's just a big long gray building. But if you put a deck out the front of that and you opened it up for shops and that sort of thing and had it be a big patio area, you could have a restaurant through there, you could have tons of stuff. It would completely design that entire space. It is, to me, it is the coolest building left that you could do something really, really cool with.
what about like the railroad yards?
Oh, those are fantastic, but those are already being revitalized. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, like
those things
are
are huge. Have you been inside? So
Oh yeah, man.
So-
back when I was a kid, I used
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, we used
go
to sneak
through
in there
them,
and
like,
shit when we were
oh my
teenagers.
God.
I love what they're doing with the place, but
Yeah.
it sucks because now like I can't go sneak in there
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. So the clock tower building that has Roundhouse Brewery and has the one event space.
Yep.
That's cool. But the other, like the old,
All
like
of them are
the
cool.
like the boiler freaking room and stuff.
Yeah,
you could park
that's a scary one. The one with the tower, or the one with the big smokestacks.
Yeah,
that's a scary.
Oh
one
no,
to be
that's
in.
the power plant, and that thing's crazy.
Yeah.
that thing is crazy. But no, the other
Those were cool when we were kids.
Yeah, they're
Just
so.
sneak in there, beat a hobo to death.
Oh yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you're gonna sneak in
your
somewhere, the
microphone.
hope is that there is a hobo to beat up. The ones above Roundhouse Brewery, and maybe they've cleaned them up now, but I did an art
Oh
show.
yeah, the old warehouses.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how we used to. The Warriors Alliance was in the Clock Tower building, which is a gym that Brock and I used to have, and we were the one room before the big warehouse,
Yep.
and yeah, like
the amount of
so
dead,
cool.
of dead birds, thousands
of
of dead birds. It is the creepiest because it's just it's
Rick
nothing.
Fargo,
Yeah,
the guy who
it's
runs
nothing but skeletons.
Well, I don't know if Rick does. I think Matt is. His son is kind of taking over
Good-
the business
good friend
now,
of mine.
But Rick, back then he would be like, he'd have a pellet gun and he'd be up there.
That's funny.
Because they'd get
Oh, it's
in and
unbelievable.
they can't get out. You're trying to. He's like, he's a crabby old man. I love Rick, and he's like, damn pigeons. You want to shoot some pigeons for me? It's like, sure.
Yeah, it's
Do
crazy.
I?
It's like an 80s death metal band scene up there. It's just nothing. You're just stepping on skulls as you're walking up there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It was a really fucking cool building to have a gym in, though. I'll tell you that. It was super fun.
Yeah, I did an art show in there a couple years back. I had accumulated all these paintings through the years, and I just put them up and I wanted to show it off essentially because it's like, okay, I've been making all this crap. I'd love to just let people come in and take a look at it. And so I was in there for like 3 months, I think, and that place is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, now I think that space has been redone. When I was in there, it was just bare bones. There wasn't even a freaking bathroom that worked in there. And it was just this big empty industrial, building that was freaking sweet.
They are really cool. I have heard that there is that there is some movement in that area, that there was maybe somebody coming in. I don't know exactly what I heard.
So Mike Higgins, who owns the Brainerd Industrial Complex, which is the old Potlatch building, he is currently the owner of it. And I don't know what the arrangement is as far as financial, if he's bought it outright or is paying as he goes or how it works.
Are you talking about the Potlatch building?
No,
Oh,
the railroad building.
the railroad
so he
building.
has purchased those, and he has big plans for them.
So that is what. So I heard. I didn't know quite the details, but I heard that there was somebody who had recently, purchased it and had the idea of putting somebody in.
Yeah,
there, so.
yeah. I don't want to disclose any of the information that he doesn't or hasn't decided to disclose yet, but he's got some really cool ideas.
Excellent.
That's a cool building too. The old Potlatch building.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That thing is that. So my grandpa was like the head plumber there before he died, and that place is 1970s, like late 60s. Just you walk in and you're like, wow, this is incredible that you just did not update any of the wood paneling or anything, but now it just looks so cool.
Yeah, that part's cool. But also, it's just that they have it's just huge. Like the hugeness of machines.
Oh,
is
yeah.
just kind of crazy.
Those paper machines were gigantic. It's unbelievable how large those machines were. Which now they're gone.
Well, we don't even use paper anymore.
You talk about yourself.
So, do you know anything about the Riverwalk that has been being talked about a little bit?
So the Riverwalk initially started off as an idea to have a large, it's not really a pier, but a walkway in the water that would be slightly off of shore. And the estimated price tag came back at like $15 million. And so that kind of got, nixed.
Same price as the water tower. Perfect.
Well, yeah, $15 million, would make us have one heck of a beacon. For sure. But they've since kind of shifted their momentum into coming up with a more tangible plan. Kind of the idea of let's start with something and then build from there. Mm-hmm. And so next to the high rise, as people refer to it, North Star Apartments here in town, down by the football field, there is a parking lot that's down there. And their current plan is to try and secure funding to make that a little... And they don't like to use the word plaza because this is the part that I love about government. They love buzzwords and they hate other buzzwords. They hate the word plaza. So you can't say plaza. Trailhead is the preferred nomenclature of the day. If you want money for anything, and I'm about to say that the water tower is a trailhead, you just need to say that it's a trailhead, and then you can open up revenue.
It's too close to Turtlehead.
I had not thought that, but yeah. Well, you probably could see some turtle heads while having a turtle head at the turtle head. Yeah. But no, there are some cool ideas for like a small little amphitheater style, like a grassy amphitheater, kayak launch, like a learning space that gets down by the water for the school to use. And then the idea of instead of having a walkway down in the water, moving the walkway up the hill a little bit and having it be that so it doesn't disturb all of the vegetation down at the bottom. You can have a walkway that you could see down. And then eventually the idea is to create a walkway from 210 all the way down to Kiwanis Park.
Yeah. Oh God, it's been a while now.
It's been a while.
I can't even remember the name of the company. But I got a call one day and somebody asked me if I would be interested in filming a little bit for this river walk. And they sent me up in a helicopter, and I hung out of a helicopter filming. It was fucking cool.
Really?
Were you bummed out when you got there because you were like, I fucking thought you said river dance. Fuck, I'm so disappointed.
Oh, now I just have to hang out of this helicopter? Shoot.
Yeah. In this
clogging
weird,
versus hanging out of a helicopter.
In this weird river dance outfit. I looked stellar. But yeah, so I filmed that. And actually, it was kind of interesting because I filmed it, and when I got done, I wasn't happy with the footage.
How long ago was that? I've probably seen it's probably the footage that they use.
Oh, well, here's the story. So I was like, I'm not happy with this footage. Fuck. So I bought a drone and reshot it with a drone, and that footage was fucking awesome. And then I gave them all the footage or whatever. Yeah. And so I got paid $200 to get up in an airplane and spent $1,200 on a drone.
I was gonna say, and then you spent $1,000 more. Yeah. But now you have a drone.
Now I have a drone.
Yeah, drones
that
are
I've
sweet.
used like 4 times.
I love drones.
They're fun. I like to buy shit at the exact wrong time. Like,
yes.
I bought
before it goes on sale and stuff like that.
Well, before like the next gen comes out. Like
Yep.
I bought the iPhone 1, like the day before the iPhone 2 came out.
Perfect.
Because like why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And like so I bought the one that I have is like it doesn't have the 4K camera. It's got the 2.5K camera. Like it's
battery life
really
is like
good.
3 times less than the rest of them. Yeah.
But if I had waited, but I couldn't because I needed it that minute. But like basically today drones are so much better than that drone was just a few years ago, and they're cheaper.
Yeah.
Like $1,000 drone today is a fucking monster.
So you're the early adopter that didn't show up on time. So you're at the end of the line and you get the very last one, and then the second you're done, they're like, "Oh, hey, by the way,
Yeah, exactly.
those of you who waited, here's the next one."
I have a buddy, Jay Gould, who's super awesome, black belt under Brock, and really really cool guy. But he. Yeah, so he's like, "Hey, you're into drones, right?" I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Yeah, check this thing out." And he's fucking flying around, little tiny things flying around, chasing him and shit.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that's the coolest part of the drones that, and a lot of them haven't even fully made it to market yet. But the idea that you just kind of plop it up and it just takes off. You just throw it out of your hand, it takes off, and
this one
just follows you.
This one responds to his hand commands. He's like, fly that way. Fly that way.
You're crossing the line of what I'm accepting in my life.
That's magic, and that scares me.
That's what it's like. It's like magic.
Yeah, that's Technology is crazy, though.
Technology is a lot like magic.
It is a lot like magic.
It's our magic, today's magic.
You know, you've seen the movie 300, obviously.
This is
why
yes.
Not the greatest movie of all time, but the thing I loved about that was the guy talking about the stuff. So the narrator would talk about like, and then the hell beasts from beyond, and it's a rhino, and it's like, yeah, granted, they've kind of went back and said no, they didn't have those, you know, they weren't bringing rhinos or whatever.
But see, a lot of people don't make the distinction, like they think that like that 300 was supposed to be like a retelling of the Battle of Thermopylae.
Yeah.
When actually 300 is just about the it's just the graphic novel.
It is, but what I love is the idea that if you were like, let's just say you're just chilling on your farm and all of a sudden this giant army comes with rhinos and they're throwing explosives at you.
Yeah,
like that's fucking magic.
If you've never seen a rhino, well, you just saw a hell beast.
Yeah, that is a hell beast, and the guy riding its back is a fucking magician, right? And he's now throwing
like a
fireballs
Tyrannosaurus
at
Rex. That's a fucking dragon.
Yes, yes.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I loved 300.
I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So back to the Riverwalk.
Yeah.
So I spent some time down in Rochester.
Phenomenal.
3 or 4 years ago.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, it was for my day job and like, you know, in a hotel room and then, you know, like whatever. So I ended up having like, you know, 5-6 hours a night to just do nothing. And typically I just find a bar, but
the McMurphy's / Aquarius Club is not there anymore. So
I spent an enormous amount of time.
It was a fucking ridiculous place back when I lived there.
Sounds like the Blue Oyster from the Police Academy movies.
Oh, you don't have to explain that reference. I'm with you.
So I spent an enormous amount of time on this fucking Riverwalk thinking like, and I'm not the kind of guy who like goes on walks. That's never been my thing. It was so cool.
Yeah.
You could like walk down these like really well groomed like, you know, paths right down by the river and stuff. And I was like, and then when I found out they were talking about that up here, I'm like, that's an investment in the city, not, you know, saving a big white dog.
So two things about that. One, so my daughter is in dance, and they have their big national thing down in Rochester. So the last 2 years, I've been down there and spent a couple days with way too much time on my hands in between her dances, and have walked that, and it's incredible. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's part of the reason why I got excited for the one here. Secondary to that is they have the third version of our water tower, and nobody even knows that. I had to do I got talked into.
Nobody gives a fuck about water towers.
Yeah, because like when I was down in Rochester, I was really impressed with the Riverwalk, and guess what? I didn't give two fucking shits about that water tower.
You're both a bunch of assholes. But anyways, they have the third version of our water tower. It's interesting in that it looks similar, but yet you can see
except
like
it's like I know what it is. It's a little. It's like it's not rigid. It's a little more droopy.
It's
only like partially hard.
Yeah, it's it's got ED, and you know, which is weird because you would think that
at 150, you know.
Well, this one's you know like 97 or 90, probably 93. But here's the deal: Rochester's known for the Mayo Clinic. And it's actually, this water tower is located on what is affectionately known as Pill Hill. So the fact that it has any droop to its erection is really alarming to me because, you know, you would think that they would figure that out.
Better than that,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If you live on Pill Hill, if you live on Pill Hill and your dick doesn't work right, you got to figure things out.
I got a prostate problem.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, their Riverwalk is fantastic. Ours, we're not looking to do anything quite to that level, but I would like to see some things happen. We're really hopeful that when the 210 reconstruction happens in about 5 years, which the conversations are starting to happen about that we can maybe get an underpass under 210 for pedestrians, so you can get from the north side over to the south side of 210 at the Mississippi River. Now,
an underpass under 210?
An underpass under 210 is my dream.
That would be a great place to kill hobos.
It would be a fantastic place to kill hobos. That's what I said. The first thing that I said was, but I have no power over whether or not that can actually happen. I can just voice those opinions and bring them forward. But I will definitely tell them that Kyle Amundsen says, hobos, yes.
If I could, you know, be the first person to kill a hobo there, that would be great. Yeah. Kill the inaugural hobo.
The inaugural hobo. The Inaugural Hobo is a great title for a band.
That's our second band. What was our first one?
Libtard Baby Dust.
We had Libtard Baby Dust. Yeah, damn it. We're just killing it with those band names.
What would the Baby Dust be?
We're not sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just a comment that we
Mortar
read on
and
my friend's
pedestal?
Facebook, and we're like, Libtard Baby. And it was confusing, but it just had a nice ring to it.
Yeah. I thought it would be a good line of e-juice, but
It would be, but it would have to be powdered.
sure.
Yeah, it would have to be a powdered mix, like Tang, only babies.
So, one thing, since you are a politician,
Not really a politician,
Okay,
but
whatever.
sure. Most politicians do not sit in the middle of you two and talk about the stuff we're talking about. But sure,
That is why no one would remember your name.
I am an elected official. Let's say that.
what do
You made that mistake, not me.
What do you think about Brainerd getting like all of this fame for how amazing our school board is?
I knew you were gonna talk about this because you had posted something on Facebook saying that you had talked about it last week. Still have not watched that episode, but then you said we will be talking about it again, and I sent a snapshot of it to my friend and said, "Well, you know who their guest is, so that's great." The one drawback to me talking about this is that I do have to actually have a working relationship with the school board. We have a couple of big projects still in the
but the
works.
school board's fine.
No, it was the school board that made the comment.
It was actually the school board president,
Yeah, it was the school board that made the comment, and it's
not
not
the whole board.
It's not you're right. It is not the whole board. I've only had one conversation with her prior. I've talked with other school board members and had some good dialogue. I believe very firmly that you and I can disagree on everything, but we should be able to talk about it.
Sure.
We don't have to have the same beliefs. I don't think that anybody should have the same beliefs, but you should be able to have a dialogue about stuff. And I had one conversation with her. She had a disagreement with something that I believe very firmly in, and
Was it gravity?
yes,
Or,
it was gravity. It was a strange one. I thought to myself the same thing. You as a school board president should understand gravity exists. Yeah,
the
but
theory of gravity.
yeah, I can't speak to her as an individual, and I would like to continue to have a working relationship with the school board. So I will be careful about some of the things that I say. But if you can't separate your faith from science, then your faith is very weak, and you should probably go home and just reflect on your faith. Would be my comments on that. If you have to make a comment about how you don't think that evolution exists, and that's because you are so religious, you need to go sit down and rethink the strength of your faith.
See, and it wasn't even clear. So maybe some of you out there don't know what we're talking about, but 3 weeks ago or whatever, the school board president, what was her name?
Sue Kern,
She
who's a nice lady.
She's a nice lady as far as I know.
Very nice, but dumb as a fucking rock.
I did not say that.
No, that was me.
Okay.
Actually, I said dumb as a rock.
Okay.
So she was talking to the science teacher
Well, so it wasn't just talking. This was at a school board meeting.
At a school board
Yeah.
meeting. Yeah, but she was talking to him at a school board meeting, and she asked him why the fuck he was so dumb to be teaching evolution in the school, because evolution was a theory that still hadn't been proven. And what was he doing teaching our children that?
And there was
stuff.
some conversation about like giving. What am I right? Was there some conversation about giving like equal time to
There's always
creationism?
Yeah, and I don't know for sure if that happened during that meeting or not. I didn't go back and watch it or listen to the outtakes. But that typically tends to be the. Thank you for catching that, by the way. That typically tends to be the follow up to that conversation is, well, if we're going to teach this, then we have to teach this. And
fair and
'cause we
balanced
fucking
is
don't, by
fucking
the way.
ridiculous.
We do not.
Yeah.
Because it's not, we're not.
And then it showed
Talking
up
about
in fucking Newsweek.
So if I can say something, that one of the greatest assets we have in the city of Brainerd is the Brainerd Dispatch, because the Brainerd Dispatch there's not a whole lot going on in this area that is crazy. So they like to write about things, and they a lot of times they're very tough on us, but they're also very positive a lot of the time. But they have reach, because when they post a story, this shit gets picked up all the time.
Well, when you have a school board president that does something so epically dumb that's national news. I mean, because there's not that many that stupid people in the world.
You know, you continue to say that, and I will back off of that.
Because you said earlier that, you know, that her faith was the thing that was like.
Well, that's always the case.
But I think there's plenty of those people.
I don't even think that's. I wasn't talking about Pine River area.
No, Bacchus. We talked about this. PJ talked about it. Bacchus is the one you got to look out for.
Indeed.
And Jenkins.
Yeah, maybe I am being a little hard on her. Actually, and the thing is like, I felt like when we first broached the subject, I wasn't as whatever, but I've since hardened to this, because I'm like, Jesus Christ, like we're getting national attention over it. And it's like, we are not all that fucking dumb.
No.
But she didn't even bring up her faith. In what I read, the thing that I read, she was trying to say like, this theory of evolution hasn't been proven in 100 years. Why are you still teaching it to our children? And that is just a matter of stupidity.
So her background is, and I haven't done the research to find out exactly what his position is, but her husband is a high representative of a very conservative group in Minnesota. So that does not surprise me at all. And I don't mean conservative from the aspect of being fiscal conservative. I mean conservative in that avenue that goes into the religious stuff.
Like gay people cause hurricanes and that kind of
probably
kind of
or the last really stupid thing that happened in our area. I mean, there's been plenty of them, but the one where at the county level, they were having, and it blows my mind, because I will say, you two are both very liberal. I am conservative in that I believe that the government should stay the fuck out of your way, and that there should be a long leash until you start getting greedy as hell, and then it should snap really freaking hard. That's my belief on that. Socially, I am very liberal in that, go do whatever the fuck you want, man.
I think I'm actually quite conservative fiscally.
Gotcha.
But definitely social liberal.
Okay.
By all means.
And I don't want, I got to be careful, because I really don't want to get into a conservative versus liberal talk with you two. That will just make me look like a fucking asshat more than I want to. But there was a comment at the.
You mean show your true colors?
Yeah, absolutely. My true colors are very bright.
Now I'm designing a hat in my mind. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just like it's like the top of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium that the Atlanta plays in. It's just the hat that just lowers down like that. But anyways, they had a comment. What they were dealing with was a very liberal concept, but it should be something that conservatives should be behind. They were going into homes with this packet to at-risk mothers. So mothers who may have low intelligence, or may be in the system for various reasons, may have some emotional problems, that sort of thing. And they're going into these houses with this packet and trying to explain to them why it's important that they don't get pregnant again. That hey, you just got pregnant. We really need to make sure that you're understanding that you are at risk for getting pregnant again. That can happen. And that, kind of going through this idea of,
so which sounds like a conservative measure, because I mean that by its nature is conservative. It is, and because the women that you described sound like conservatives.
Anyways, but the idea of spending money to on these social issues and trying to bolster the lower half is kind of a liberal idea. Most of the time you start to hear those things about conservatives, and it's like, why are we spending money on this stuff? I believe that you have to lower the floor myself. But anyways, so they're going in with these packets, and included in these packets are condoms. And there was this outcry by the one of the county commissioners, and one of the statements he made, which is my favorite statement, was, I can't picture Jesus handing out condoms. And immediately I said, well, I've got a $40,000 education in Photoshop. And so I immediately went to my computer and Photoshopped Jesus handing out condoms, which I will gladly send to you guys later on, because it's one of my favorite moments in life. And I posted that on the Dispatch's article, but it always tends to be these weird statements like that, and it always tends to follow religion. That's the thing that always bothers me, is that there is a social sides on both ends of things, conservative, liberal, but when you start to get religion into things, it all just gets really weird, and then all of a sudden we can't have a conversation about evolution, because that defies what my belief system is as far as the Lord Jesus and his mighty powers.
Yeah. Did condoms exist when Jesus was? I mean, I know Trojan, like, oh yes, it's all the way back to Troy. That's where Trojans, Trojans came from.
How do you think that he got all those fish to feed those people? He was clearly fucking these fish.
Ooh, boy, you just crossed the line. Don't vote Badeaux.
Hashtag Jesus fish fucker. Sorry.
We were doing hashtags the other day. You love those.
I love hashtags.
I love those too.
I love hashtags.
I'm not ready for that to go. People are like,
Yes.
oh, I hate when people do that.
No.
I'm like, I'm not done with that yet.
No.
I just found out it's a thing.
the late bloomer.
Well, like I mean, I would say, like, you know, hashtag spice latte or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it actually was like you would. I mean, and I would even say it in writing, but I didn't realize that if you clicked on it, then that actually went to to another thing. I was like,
someplace.
You're fucking like. Maybe I'm a little dumb.
It's again my like desire to fuck with people, and the hashtag thing is the greatest way to fuck with people, because it's funny. It's just like making a small comment with a period. But then if you actually type it out, then it goes to things, which is the best part of that, because there's always, no matter what you hashtag, there is always something else that has hashtagged that before. And it is very fun to just click on that and go like, okay, who else and what were they doing?
How was this used?
Hashtag Jesus fish fucker.
Those are rabbit holes themselves.
I want to click on that. I want to see what happened.
Yeah, they'll definitely. I'm sure there will be some happy fish out there because Jesus was an awesome lay.
Yeah, probably.
So also you have done some stand-up comedy.
I have done stand-up comedy, and actually, to go back to the beginning when you guys ripped me apart for saying that I had an existential crisis about.
I think you might be being extra dramatic about that.
By no means did either Kyle or I use the word existential.
I feel
because we don't even know what it means.
I feel attacked. I feel as though my face is red and that I do not feel comfortable here. So it really is the hardest thing that I've had to deal with on the council end of things, is that I do believe very firmly that I want my city to look good. That's why I ran for city council, is I want people to stop shitting on my city, because it's a great fucking place to be. Yes, there are problems, but we live in the middle of fucking Minnesota.
I do feel like people are tough on the area. You know, and for some really unfair reasons. You know, like, I know some of the reasons are understandable.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole, you know, like the Sue Kern thing. You know, some of that stuff, you know, like, yep, we do, you know, like, yeah, we have a lot of backwards ass people here.
Yep.
But a lot, see, and that's another thing. A lot of those backwards ass people are wonderful fucking people. We have a lot of wonderful people here. We've got a lot of great folks, a lot of super, you know, really decent folks. We've got a lot going for us here. Yeah, we've got some, you know, like, of course, every place has its fucking downside.
Yep.
But I do feel like people pick on the area a lot. And like, really, like, a lot of people like can do, you know, I know a lot of people that, like, look where I work, you know, like, a lot of people cannot fucking wait to come and spend their goddamn time that they possibly can get away right here, you know?
That's what I always say to people. Like, my son wanted to do traveling baseball, and I told him, and we'll probably do it next year, but this year I said, I live here through the winter months so that I can be here on the weekend in the summer. I don't want to go, and no offense to any place down in the cities, but I don't want to go down to the cities and sit in a freaking dusty, shitty baseball field down there when we could be up here going to the lake or just being out in the area that we are. It's a phenomenal area. It gets a hard rap, or it gets a bad rap because of, you know, when you look at demographically wise, the city of Brainerd is set up to be the dense part of the area, and then the outlying areas are where people, once they get their money, tend to move out of the actual city itself. So then you go, if you look at it by the numbers and you say, oh, per capita, the income level is very low. Well, that tends to be the case with any county seat in any state around the country. But also you look at the outlying areas, the lakes that are here, there's, you get a corner of Rice Lake, you get a little bit of Gilbert Lake. Other than that, there's, you're not talking about lake homes, and you're not talking about, if you can, a lot of people will just move slightly outside the city because the taxes are lower and they want a little bit more room.
Smaller schools and stuff like that. I live in Pequot.
Yeah.
And I love it there.
Yeah.
20-minute drive. But it's no, I absolutely get you on that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll agree that per capita, the citizens of Brainerd are more dense than other areas.
Oh yeah, very dense. Yeah, but to bring it all back to the question about, or just the inquiry about comedy, when I was first running, I said, okay, the guy I'm running against is an older gentleman who has pissed a bunch of people off. And as part of the reason why I ran was that I didn't like the things that he was doing. And I kind of said,
Who was that?
I won't name names because there's no reason to. If
Well,
you want
I'll fucking name names if I can figure it out.
do the research. There's a giant billboard. I mean, if you bend your head that way, there's a giant billboard with his face on it straight across from me, literally right through that wall.
Gary Sheeler?
Yeah, I don't know if that's his name or not. But anyways,
Fuck that guy.
he kept running his mouth and kept doing things and pissing people off. And people came to me and said, hey, we'd like you to run. I said, no, I'm not interested in that. That's not who I am. They eventually, after I said no like 3 times, they said, well, look into it. And I looked into it and I said, okay, this is exactly what I don't want. And so then in running, I was like, well, here's the deal. If I'm going to be the young guy coming in this scenario, then I need to make sure that I'm not doing stupid things, and I need to make sure that I'm not giving cannon fodder for people to use against me politically. So I said, you know what, I'm going to stop doing comedy, and I stopped doing it like immediately. And that's one of the most regrettable decisions that I've had, because the whole reason I did comedy was initially I was getting divorced. I just had a lot of shit to say. And it's the same reason why I did the podcast. I had so much shit that I wanted to say, and I'm a busy guy who has a lot of stuff going on, and it's a lot easier for me to, like, in my house while I'm working on stuff, come up with ways of saying it and then go on a stage and present that stuff than it is to just walk around town going, everybody listen to me quick, but I wish I would have been less, snipping of the cord. I wish I would have kind of weaned myself off on it or kept it going a little bit. I did have a gig that was supposed to happen about a month ago.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Did that did not happen?
Didn't, but you and I talked about it, and the gentleman that were putting it on, I would tell you straight up right away. As soon as they said they were going to do it and the amount of money they were going to pay me, I said, it's never going to happen. I think I told you that at the time. Yeah, it's never going to happen, but I'm going to take their money because, you don't get to book
plan
me.
the show. And
Yeah. You don't get to, when you book me, you're booking me to plan the show and to go through the steps to get there. Going on stage, if your event falls through, well, then we got to talk about how you still owe me some money. But I was super excited to get back into comedy, and I plan on doing it. I miss it. I really, really miss it. There's nothing more liberating than getting on a stage and just saying whatever the fuck you want, and then dealing with the repercussions of it.
Unless you bomb.
Well,
that sucks,
to say
I would set myself up to bomb just because I know me, and I know I could, like you've always said, oh yeah, you could totally do stand up. I
totally
could not fucking do stand up.
I
not with my stammering and fidgeting and fucking nervousness.
Yeah, but you just set yourself up to do jokes that fit into that persona. The biggest thing that you do is you create a persona, and it's not that it's not you, it's that it is a hyper version of yourself. You create something that is, you take your little tiny issues that you have, like if you feel that you stammer, then use that, push that forward and stammer on purpose, and then that becomes a joke on amongst itself, in that you protect. It's kind of how I like, my reason for being a dick to people is that I think it's funny, and mostly because life is awkward as fuck. Like when you just meet someone new and they like tell me, "Hey, nice hair," you know, like dudes that come up and go like, oh, "I love your hair." That's fucking weird. You know, it's fucking weird.
Well, it's not
And
that weird.
It's
you
fucking.
have beautiful. hair.
I do have
Sick flow, bro.
I have phenomenal hair, but if I could explain to you how often a dude comes up to me and says, "I love your hair. Please don't touch my fucking hair," which by the way, I need a haircut really bad. So if you guys are looking at my hair right now, I know it doesn't look as fantastic as it should, but it is phenomenal. And can I say real quick, and you guys should probably feel the same way about this, don't you just fucking hate getting haircuts? You just fucking hate it.
I actually do, because it's a I'm not very flexible, and when I'm like taking care of like the back and stuff, like I have to have my wife come in and like take care of like the little lines.
Because this is as far up as Kyle's arm goes.
It's when do I still have a tag sticking out on the shirt?
Holy shit! Hold
Because-
on. You say that, but you actually have hair in your fold.
No, do I right now?
You totally fucking do right here. Do you see
Wait,
that?
there's a lot.
It's hard to get in there.
Did you just ask them if they could see it? The fucking camera's facing this way.
I was talking to you. Can you see that he's got hair? You have hair in your fold.
Hey, I'm not
This is
judging.
It's not
incredible.
easy.
I'm not judging.
Hashtag hair fold. Anyways, though, to go all the way back into it, I use that as like a defense mechanism where my cocky persona is because what the fuck are you supposed to say to a dude when he goes, "Hey man, your hair is great"? So like a lot of times I'll come up with something stupid to say, like, you know, if you were the first person to say that to me, it would be weird. You know, like you just say something stupid and then you walk away and you come off like an asshole, but really it's, I don't know how to fucking deal with that. What am I supposed to fucking say to you? Yeah, I'm lucky. Thanks. My genes are great as far as the hair goes, not so much as far as other things go.
You know what I usually say when somebody comes up and compliments me? Thank you.
Yeah, I can't do that. I don't like compliments. I don't like them.
Unless it's intrusive.
I struggle with compliments as well.
Well,
Yeah.
I told a story the other day, but the guy came up and I have my weird striped tattoos on my arm, and I had my fucking headphones in too, and I was at Home Depot, and the guy like sitting there checking out, and the employee from Home Depot comes up and like grabs my arm. I'm like, take my earbuds
Yeah,
out.
what have
I'm
I
like, what
done?
the fuck are you touching
Yeah.
me for? And he's like, oh, what's up with the tattoos? That was
Yeah. But no, like, okay, so if,
But other than that.
if someone says like, "Hey, they're really sweet tattoos," and you go, "Oh, thank you," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Usually, if somebody is like, yeah, and my tattoos are fucking weird. I got the like stripes on my arm, so people ask me all the time, "What's up with what's up with the tattoos?" It's fine, but I was just like, you fucking touching me?
Yeah.
Don't fucking touch
Yeah.
me.
Don't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the
I
same
mean, unless
time,
they're gonna stroke your hair, because
it's
it is
so much
gorgeous.
more. It's so much more fun to fuck with people though, because if somebody touches your arm and makes it really fucking weird, and then says, "Sweet tattoos, bro," then
Well, I just leaned in for a kiss. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
the
that's
first thing my brain does is go, "Fuck with this guy." Fuck with this person immediately. And so then I say stupid shit that sounds like an asshole, but it really is being an asshole. But I like to come up with weird things that make them uncomfortable then. It's because you just made me uncomfortable. So fuck you. Now you get to be uncomfortable. And then never address it, never laugh about it or do anything, and just walk the fuck away. You're like, hey, those are, white pride or some weird shit like that. And then just walk away. And then you look like an asshole. But at the same time, like, fuck you. You just made me feel really uncomfortable. Fuck you. We're putting it back on you. Flip it around.
I would just go for leaning in for a kiss.
Yeah.
It usually gets people every time.
Yeah, but for me, stand up is trying to get the weird shit out of my head that I just want to, like, we all have weird thoughts, we all have weird looks at the world and stuff, and I don't want to just sit in my own head because I'm way too fucking heady and have spent way too much ADD time just bouncing thoughts around in my head that I shouldn't. I just want to get it out. Like then once it's out, it's like, okay, then we'll just deal with the consequences of having said such things.
Well, now I feel bad for you because you had to give up comedy, but
I didn't have to give it up. I chose to give it up.
Well, if this helps at all, I've seen your stand up, and I'm going to
fuck
say you gave up comedy a long, long time ago. So,
Yeah, right. Well, first of all, you have not seen my comedy.
yeah. No, I haven't.
No, I know you
I made
haven't.
that up.
One of my favorite.
The joke is worth everything.
It was phenomenal. See, now the delivery on that was great too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It was, but I can always tell when Kyle is brewing a joke. If you watch, I look
working
over
on a
there.
farce.
I
You
look
know,
over
it's
there.
die.
That's exactly what it looks like. What Kyle, he's going like this, and he gets this kind of weird, like start kind of wiggling his butt around. I was like, motherfucker's working something up. and then it'll come out. It'll come out eventually.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm kind of known as what did I think I called it? I think I mentioned it on the show before, and I called myself like famously easy to read, like the easiest person to read. Like Kyle, do you want to play poker some more? No, I don't want to play poker. You know, like I am fucking easy to read. I am transparent.
Yes. Well, I mean, I feel like we've been doing this for a while.
True.
So we've
been friends for a long time.
Well, been friends for a long time, and now this like weekly, 3-hour episode of like,
which are too fucking long, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
but well,
good to have you, Dave.
Yeah. And with that,
how far along are we? Because I actually, let's see, like there was a couple of things that I specifically saved, or that I was saving for when we were doing the intro. I saved because one of them I thought like we, actually both of them for that matter. But there were a couple of things that I thought Dave might want to chime in on too.
Good.
Yeah.
Since we all do our
Well,
stuff.
let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And then when we get back, we'll talk about the shit that's on your list.
Fair enough.
all right.
All right. Back in a minute. Welcome back to Spitball, and I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy.
Kyle Amundsen.
And we have the Honorable
Yes.
Alderman, His Highness,
Mm-hmm.
Dave Badeaux.
Dave Badeaux, yes.
Dave Badeaux.
Father of Triple X.
No, not Triple X. The dose.
Sandor.
Xandor. Now we got to call him Xandor.
Xandor.
Xandor. Xandor the
Xandor.
Mighty.
Xandor Clegane. No, Xandor. No.
I wonder if I bet that's going to become more popular now. Xandor.
Xandor?
Yeah. Because of
Maybe
Xandor Cookie.
because of our pop culture influence.
Yeah. It's weird how that comes up.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people making love to this podcast, and there are going to be a lot of Xandors coming out of it.
We just moved ahead of Barry White on the Let's Get It On list.
Hey, girl. I don't know if you know or not.
I was thinking about doing that for the. Did you ever read any of the Take Your Top Off, Girl? Like people,
Yes.
So people enjoyed those. I did not think they were like. I was like, really? People do like?
Oh,
these?
they were fucking
I'm gonna
comedic
fucking write
genius.
another one.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I've still got all those, and I was thinking about because I figure I feel like if I did them like on camera, it would ruin it because people could see that I'm actually not attractive. So if I could just limit it to my voice, if I could just read them,
You totally could.
and use my phone voice.
We did on the podcast a couple times. We did a thing that we called central reading of the IMDb parental guide. So we would go on the IMDb parental guide, and the reason why this became a thing was that I wanted to take my kids to Guardians of the Galaxy. And I'm like, and at this point they were still pretty young, and I'm like, okay, I just need to double check, make sure there's not like full on banging in this, which is weird, that we'd be so worried about that, but we are.
More so than violence. In our
Yeah, more
culture.
so than
Like,
violence. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care that they sawed that guy's head off.
Yeah.
As long as there's no titties.
Listen.
Actually, I agree though.
Titties.
Like Peyton and I were just watching Carnival. What the fuck's the thing on Amazon?
Oh,
Carnival
Row.
Carnival Roll, and we watched one episode of that, and it was all right. It was, but we're 3/4 of the way into it, and all of a sudden, like fucking Legolas is banging this chick.
Yeah.
and it was pretty graphic, and I'm just and Peyton and I look at each other, and I go, they could have just skipped that.
Yeah,
huh? And he
yeah.
goes, yeah.
There's a lot of movies like that.
It's just kind of gross.
My son is 12 now, and I've started letting him to watch R-rated movies, specific ones. But every once in a while, a boob will pop up, and instead of being weird like my dad was in the room, now I just go titties and totally ruin it for him. So let's if it's gonna be awkward, let's make it awkward and funny. So anytime and I wish I was joking, but anytime that boobs come on the screen now, if my son is in the room with me, I just yell titties. So, but anyways, what I was going to say,
very good example
we did central readings of IMDb parental guides because it is the most ridiculous stuff ever. It's and it was for Guardians of the Galaxy. It changed because it's a rotating thing. The stuff gets pulled down and whatnot. But one was like the raccoon has nipples. And so it was like, everything was like written like super sensual. And then it was like, and then you see a raccoon's nipples. And so we just started doing this riff where it was just like someone reading things that are not sexual as though they're super sexual because people are weird.
I like it.
So you've talked about the podcast a little bit. You used to have a podcast.
Yeah, we did. Over 3 years, we had 169 episodes. 168 of them we released. The 169th episode, I got halfway through it, and I wish this wasn't me, but I took my headset off and was like, I'm done. And I just walked away from it. And I wish I wouldn't have done that. But it was a similar situation where it's like, I got to be careful with what I'm doing. You know, I'm running out of time because city's taking up all my time, and it just wasn't good enough. I didn't think it was good enough. And I put the headphones down and just said, we're done, and walked away after 169 episodes, which is really stupid in hindsight, because
it's a good run.
Yeah, but there's a lot of legwork in setting up the back end of things, in setting up the YouTube and the Facebook.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I actually don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't, but you understand. There's a lot of legwork in even just setting up iTunes and setting up, like, we had got picked up by a service out of the UK, and a large portion of our viewership or listenership, because we were audio only, was out of England, which is super fucking weird. Like, because and then it was like, do we play into that? Do we? You know, and the decision eventually was, no, fuck it, because they're listening for a reason, so just listen, or just do what you do. But it was weird to like look at the like where we were, and I think at some point we ended up in like damn near 50 countries around the world. It's just a weird fucking thing to think a bunch of dudes getting drunk in my basement and just recording it are then being listened to people that have no fucking idea what Brainerd is or what anything is. It's a weird scenario. I do regret that decision now, just based off of the amount of work, but at the same time it was like, okay, I just don't have fucking time for this anymore.
You can get back to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know? Well, that's why I'm here.
It all exists.
It does. And I had said to you multiple times that there's some things that you're doing that I think that I wish we would have done right away. Video was the hardest thing, was that I wanted us to get into video, and I just couldn't get the right crew together to make it work the way that I wanted to. We did some video stuff, but we were trying to be too clever. You know, multiple cameras, switching on the fly, like stuff like that. You need to put a camera in front of you, record the shit if people want to watch it.
It's one of our assets. We're anything but clever.
Yeah, really just and start at the beginning.
You kind of joke, but that's kind of true. That's part of the reason why it is such a easy setup, is because I don't like. Well, one of the things when we started out was that I was concerned that it was going to take too much time.
Yep.
Not to do the show, edit it, but to do all the rest of the shit, to edit it. And I was going to become a perfectionist, and I was going to want to go through and whatever. And
that's a mistake I made.
There are a few times where that did happen. Yep. Episode 3 or 4, Kyle, like, it was the one where we were wearing the weird headsets, and Kyle's fucking giant head, and he wasn't talking, the microphone wasn't close enough to his mouth, so I literally had to go in and fucking tweak just his audio. I mean, hours and hours and hours. But now it takes me like almost no time. I don't even watch the show before I put it up.
I
don't. All I do is just slap an end, slap a
I had to go to a doctor
transition
and get my head shrunk. So now my head's much smaller, and we don't have that problem anymore.
Well, thank God. Because we were worried about being able to see the background behind you, and not to be rude, but
it ruined my career as a Macy's Thanksgiving Day float. But
it did. It did.
It was
just because it was brought up in one of the previous episodes. The photograph of Matt behind us is just alarming, and I hate to do that because this should be an audio podcast as well, and I hate to draw you to the video if you're not interested in that. But it is just an alarming photo. Well, I mean, it is more alarming than what he described.
For our listeners, we can just describe it to you. It is a photograph of me, shirtless at least. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's unclear.
Doing your best impersonation of Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's interesting take on it. And I'm looking at my phone. What I was doing was reading a portion of the book that I wrote to Meta, whose face is in the foreground, kind of in ginormous style. Yeah.
See, my picture is very modest.
Yes, it's Kyle on a horse.
You wouldn't even know that.
It's
zoom in.
It's tiny. It's a small picture.
Well, we would zoom in, except that would take
Yeah.
fucking shit we don't have.
And so that's it, to say the things that you're doing. Absolutely correct. I was spending like 7 or 8 hours a week editing, because my brother is a guy that just all the time, and so I was like, I got to the point where I was cutting out his ums because they were annoying me. Which was just a stupid fucking idea. That
would be me if I was doing any editing.
But that's exactly it. I got so into the minutia of that, or cutting out pauses, and then it wasn't so much like editing down if somebody said something stupid. I would just, if you tough shit, if you say something you shouldn't have said, you shouldn't have said it. But going in and editing too much, and then I got really into doing sound drops, which was so dumb because there are easy ways to just put up a soundboard and just put the sound drop in. But we were putting up sound drops all the time for all sorts of stuff. Like the ones that we got really into were It's Been a While. So anytime that somebody would say it's been a while, we would play Stained, It's Been a While, which became a thing that people loved and our audience loved and told me they loved. So I then was beholden to anytime someone said it's been a while, I would put in Stained, It's Been a While. And then I also really love the just a bit outside, tried the corner and missed. Anytime somebody would do a joke that didn't work, we'd punch in one of those. But it's a waste of fucking time. Don't do it. It really will ruin your fucking experience with it.
Well, it depends on what you're going for too. I mean, like there are some podcasts that I listen to. Actually, I was going to mention one though, that is really different than that. It's one I just listened to one episode, but I was like, this is pretty brilliant. But it's these fucking English people, and it's called My Dad Wrote a Porno, and it's this guy whose dad wrote a sultry novel, and it was actually a script for a porno, and he and the guy just reads it with his two friends.
That's amazing.
And it's fucking really funny, but they're British, so it you were saying that the people in the UK were like India, and partially it's just because they're like, oh my god, it's so funny listening to Americans talk.
And especially a bunch of boneheads from the middle of Minnesota,
right? So I think that's part of it, because I got such a kick out of that. My Dad Wrote a Porno show part, but also because the shit that he's saying is fucking hilarious.
We wanted to do that, so I wrote a movie script when I was like 25, 24, somewhere in that range. And I still haven't went back and read it. And so we were going to do that on the podcast. We were going to do a live read of this movie script, because I guarantee it's just awful, horrific. I had it. So I went to school in Minneapolis, and I was going for computer animation, and we had this great teacher, Brian Arnold was his name, and he's went on to write a couple books about script writing. And so I emailed him and was like, hey, your class meant a lot to me, and I'm writing this script, and I was wondering if I could bounce stuff off you from time to time and have you give me your critique, right? And so he's like, oh yeah, that'd be great, blah blah blah. And so I sent him the first one. He's like, gives me his critique, blah blah blah. Sent him the second one. It was less of a critique. The third time, he didn't even fucking respond to me. It was literally when
you asked, I didn't think you were going to stick with it. Nobody ever sticks with it. And so I said yes.
And not only that, this is dog shit, and I taught you better than this. But we were gonna do the same thing where it was just let's just sit down and just read, and let's not even pretend that this is good, because it's not. Let's just sit down and read this, because that's the funniest stuff in the world. The idea that exists, I am going to go home and listen to that. Yeah.
But what I was saying is that depending on what you're going for, I mean, Radio Labs is a podcast I listen to all the time.
My favorite.
And the part of the reason why that podcast works is because it's super interesting subject matter, but also they are fucking soundscape masters, and there's all of this crazy,
the idea that when they start a story, they make sure that they start by knocking on a door. It's something that they've talked about in a couple of their episodes, where they have the actual sound of the knocking on the door and the introduction to bring you into that world. The other part of that, though, is that those large portions of that are done by producers that are going off and doing their own thing and then bringing it back, and then they're putting it together.
Right, they have a whole team. But
exactly.
They do they put on an amazing product. That said, fuck that. That's a huge amount of work.
Stupid amount of work.
But in comparison, one of my other favorite podcasts, the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yes.
It's just him across the table from somebody that's interesting and they have a conversation.
You say that, but then behind the scenes, he's got a whole crew doing it.
He's got, yes, but I mean, he's not editing. He's not, he's just, it's just right out there. So
agreed. Yeah. The one thing I would say for you guys is I would reduce the length of your podcast for two reasons. One, people have about an hour and 15-minute attention span on podcasts. It seems like we found that through trial and error. And I will say it's about, you have an hour and then like 15 minutes. It's how I feel about movies. You got 2 hours. I'll give you the extra 15 minutes to wrap shit up, but then I'm getting the fuck out of here. If your movie is 2.5 hours long, I'm watching it at home. But the secondary thing to that is you're eventually going to run out of shit to talk about. And you're better off having somebody on and having a conversation with them and then going, hey, we'll have you back on, in 6 months. And then
if we run out of stuff to talk about, but I agree to haven't. Well, having
been a guy that did this for 3 years, you will run out of shit to talk about.
Well, thank you for your shitty advice,
I'm just
Badeaux,
telling you, here's a guy that ran out of shit to talk about.
It's not like we're saying we're going to have a 3.5 hour podcast today. That's never the way it is.
That.
We don't even want to.
We don't know but I'm just telling you, right. If I could give you one bit of advice.
The reason our stools are this uncomfortable is because it'll keep us keep us as short as possible.
The other thing about this, talking about being as short as possible, I walked in here tonight. I'm gonna look right into the camera and tell you guys this. I walked in here tonight and I look at these stools and both of them have fucking booster seats hooking up to their stools. So yeah, short as possible.
They're they're very uncomfortable.
Oh, so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
my ass is killing me right now.
Right now. So the chair they've got me sitting on is
I've got a trailhead poking out.
The chair they've got me sitting on, trailhead poking out, you fucking stupid son of a bitch. The chair they have me sitting on is thrusting me forward, so I'm putting my foot on the table and pushing myself back to make sure that I don't tip over.
Our chair budget is not high.
I'm not saying your chairs are not fantastic. I just really thought that was great. Like, hey, you got a booster seat.
Well, we are looking forward to the new studio. I've been working on building. I'm basically remodeling Meadow's basement to, and we're gonna put in a cool studio down there.
I love what you guys got going on here. This is a cool little setup you have.
Yeah. So you did mention on the break about the camera, and there's a little bit of a story behiand that camera.
I said that I really like the camera.
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, it's a really nice camera.
Yeah.
And I back, I don't know, 4 years ago, I suppose, I was doing a lot of video production stuff.
Yep.
And then I got a pile of money. I got paid for a couple of jobs. I got paid for a couple of jobs, and I decided I really needed to upgrade my equipment.
You're just like me.
I bought a new camera.
Yep.
And I bought a laptop, and I didn't get another fucking video production job after that. Not one. I haven't done one fucking thing with it. This podcast is the first time I've used that camera.
Yeah,
and I think it was 3 years ago.
You're just like me, where I have a extensive collection of gadgets and things to do things, and I use them like twice, if that. And then it's just this collection. It's like, oh yeah, no, I have that. Oh, you need this adapter? Totally have that. Yeah, it's right down here.
But I mean, that was a fucking $1,800 camera that I didn't actually end up needing.
But you're needing it right now.
Yeah,
right on.
Though that said, if you are interested in doing a podcast and you want it to be a video podcast, you do not have to spend $1,800 on a camera to make that work. No. There are some other selections out there, and as a matter of fact, I put a post on our Facebook that kind of gave you a shopping list if you were interested in doing something set up kind of the exact same way we are. Again, there's a shit pile of other people out there that have done a lot of good stuff on it. So
it's super funny because the same boom mics that you've got going, or the arms that you've got going here, we were using those as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the things too, is that I'm sure you've gotten a lot of it, and we got it all the time. And actually, just recently, I got people asking, like, what do we need for a podcast? What do we need as far as equipment? You don't need much. You just need get decent
to do
mics.
An audio podcast. You really don't need much at all. Decent mics.
Yeah, decent mics. Actually, video makes it. I think video makes it easier as far as the audio is concerned. You don't need to have as much. Like in here, there's a bit of an echo, but it's not terrible, and it isn't alarming. If it's just straight audio, then as a perfectionist, I got weird. Was like, all right, the furnace just kicked on. Stop. Well, stop what you're saying. The furnace is on.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Though if you use a directional mic like these, I mean, they don't pick up a whole lot of weight.
Yeah.
Like I was with Gavin last week, I was talking, like it really.
Yeah,
a lot of. So they're pretty good mics. They're not even expensive though.
No.
They're less than $100 a mic.
You'd be amazed at how inexpensive microphones that are decent are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
you
first
can also
bought these really nice, and they weren't really that expensive, but I bought these really nice condenser mics, which was a fucking huge mistake. Well, and in the testing, I was like, oh, yep. So if anybody's in the market for some nice condenser mics, I got a couple.
Yeah, and the problem with condenser mics, not to get super nerdy about it, but with condenser mics, the echo in here would be a huge problem.
Horrible. Yeah, you have to have a studio.
It would be a terrible fucking. And we were using condenser mics, so in my basement, I built hanging walls. So we actually took these walls and I hung them from ropes so that they were hanging to help cut with the reverberation and stuff like that. And it was fantastic, except for when the furnace or the heat turned on. And so my family or my family would be upstairs, and it's
if you could just freeze until the show's over.
it is freaking Tuesday. Why are you walking around?
Right. Yeah. So unless you're gonna have a really good studio, get yourself directional mics.
Yep.
And again, there's a link on the Facebook if you want to check it out.
The thing I was going to say about your camera that I enjoy is that you are able to plug your microphone.
Your XLR in.
Your XLR right in, which is a huge advantage.
Not to get too geeky about this.
Well, we should.
I know we
Let's
were
get
going to
geeky.
do a show. I talked about doing a supplemental just about equipment at some point. But that is actually, it is important that you have, you don't have to do it this way, but I like doing it this way. So I go out on my board right into my camera, and my camera is what's recording both the video and the audio.
Smart idea.
So I don't have to fuck around with doing any whatever. I don't have it's one file, and then I can take that file and do whatever I need to with it. So, but that makes it that's the expensive part of a camera is to have the XLR ins.
So after 45 minutes of getting super nerdy about cameras, didn't you have something that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, just a couple of. I was thinking about doing supplementals, just little tidbits from the news and stuff. Haven't got around to that yet. Haven't figured out how I want to do it. Do I want to do it on my cell phone? Well, how do I want to do this? I'm still thinking about it. But I did start collecting tidbits from the news. One of them is more timely and serious than the other. But the first one was was just something great that I really enjoyed. It was two Czech nationals were detained in Venice for skinny dipping in the canals. Now, if you know anything about Venice's canals, they're like sewers.
Oh yeah.
So these people are like, hey, they're swimming in shit, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, they're from Czechoslovakia, and I see Czechoslovakia as kind of the Wisconsin of Europe. They're probably all covered with shit. It made me think of the Monty Python's Holy Grail. How can you tell he's a king? Well, he doesn't have shit all over him. So I just see I'm like, what are they talking about? These guys are just they fish them out of the fucking canal and they're standing there covered with shit. What? Anyway, I thought that was funny.
Did they ever find out why they went skinny dipping?
Yeah, just because we're in Venice. Well, nobody's swimming here. Cool, this is awesome.
So actually, they weren't skinny dipping; they were bathing.
Oh, well, that's because this is all we know.
Yeah, so and I didn't. The story wasn't very big. I didn't find out that much more. Just a little tidbit. So they asked the sewage aficionados about future travel plans, and they said that they planned on coming to the U.S. and going to work for the Donald Trump campaign.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get that live band. That's one edition.
Hold on, it's right here. It's very low hanging. Let's grab it.
Right, easy peasy. The other one is something that I know you guys have seen, and pretty much everybody, unless you live under a fucking rock, you've heard about the Ronald Davis shooting in St. Paul. This was a officer-involved shooting.
I'm glad you brought this up.
There was a big backlash. People were protesting and stuff. Justice for Ronald Davis. And then the video came out. the what do they call it? The body cam?
Yeah.
The body cam video came out, and you can clearly see, if you haven't, you can find it anywhere. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yep.
But you can see the guy, the officer, Officer Matson, getting rear-ended in his squad car. And as soon as he gets out, you see Ronald Davis charging him with a knife. Now, this guy does, Officer Matson does everything in his power to get away from the guy. He falls down and shit, drops his flashlight and stuff, which Mr. Davis picks up. Now he's brandishing this flashlight and a knife. And Officer Matson's yelling at him to put the knife down, like he's just screaming at this guy, trying to get him to comply. And then finally shoots him. And Ronald Davis died. And so it's it's not a great thing. It's very unfortunate. But like the chat guys, I did read a comment from Officer Matson when asked if he had a response for the people protesting and asking for justice for Ronald Davis. His reply was, "Way ahead of you." Now, okay, no, yeah, that was a joke.
That was a good one. But, I was like, did you really say that?
No, he did not actually say that.
I actually said, did you really say that? It was a little bit shocking. So to explain Kyle's joke, he's saying, Officer Matson shot him. That was the justice. That he shot the guy.
I mean,
and he should have. He probably should have shot him a little bit ago. Yeah, I mean, you get fucking like.
Now it's not. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that Ronald Davis was shot and killed. That's a terrible thing. But if there's the issue here is, I believe Ronald Davis had some mental health issues, and that is, it's a very unfortunate deal. The other unfortunate deal, and the part that I was kind of joking about, is not about Ronald Davis's demise. It's about the fucking people that couldn't wait. Yeah. I think that we've been, fair. With law enforcement and stuff, we've talked about these things on previous episodes. But and this is a cause that I'm sympathetic towards to a reasonable level. But these people protesting and stuff before they even knew what the whole story was, that's not fucking reasonable. Well, it damages your goddamn cause.
Yes,
these are the same people. They flew in from Chicago from the Chef Bailey's protests to come down and protest this cop. Yeah, it's like officer involved shootings are always kind of a bummer, right? But sometimes they're justified. Very justified.
If you jump the gun and you're fucking protesting, and
I would go so far as to say, I was joking because I'd go as far as to say they are almost always justified. It is the times when they are not justified that it is so.
It isn't. And it isn't
that it's so.
It isn't just the shooting, though. It is also the brute use of force in instances that does not need to happen. That then it's interesting that it's both sides in that calm down with your protest. Absolutely, I absolutely agree to that, and probably more so than the other side. But at the same time,
or if you want to go ape shit, wait till you got the facts.
Everyone, calm the fuck down. Calm down, and let's actually look at things and have an idea of what happened.
Right. What when they started protesting? What did they know? Officer shoots black.
Man. Shoots black man. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Get the signs. Get the officer shoots black man signs.
Yeah.
Officer.
Oh, don't worry. We've already got him here in our trunk.
Right. Get the signs. Fuck, I got my sign. Yeah.
The saddest thing to me is that, and I appreciate what you say there, is that it hurts your cause, and it's
absolutely
it goes further into the whole idea of cancel culture and all that stuff. In that if you don't actually take the time to wait and find out what happened, and then are just knee-jerk in your immediate reaction that this is exactly what everything else has been, then when it isn't, it hurts your cause and it weakens the whole aspect of when it actually is. Because when it is an officer shooting a black person, or shooting anyone for that matter, mental health or whatever issue, if it is not justified, and if it is an instance where, and it happens a lot, where someone gets shot for a reason that really they should not be shot, if you continually go after this idea that all are the same, then it weakens when they are actually a legit concern.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. For example, we talked the other week about cultural appropriation, and I am not for cultural appropriation.
But at the same
But
time,
I am also not for protesting a fucking guy who
specializes in another
cooking
culture's cuisine.
Mexican cuisine. That is,
You don't have bigger fish to fry. Pardon the pun.
You mean not fish tacos?
I appreciate this goddamn line of conversation from you two.
Well, you know, and by no means, you know, like people aren't gonna. You know, I don't think anybody's gonna make the mistake saying, "Oh, well, Kyle totally came around and reversed his opinion on this."
No.
Because those fucking animals that beat Kelly Thomas to death in the fucking street in Fullerton, California, those motherfuckers should be enjoying the hospitality of California's fucking penal system.
Well,
probably some private system where people were getting fucking rich, but. I like that shit. Like nothing has changed.
Do you want
this is fucking ridiculous.
Well, and the thing that irritates me is that we shouldn't have to go like, oh, you know, screw all these protesters. We shouldn't have to do that because they shouldn't be protesting when it isn't an injustice. Wait until it is an injustice and then let's protest it, because then when it is, and this is my problem with it more than anything, is and you guys have talked about this on your podcast before, the de-escalation of events. It's always the second officer. It's never the first officer there. It's always the second one that comes in looking like Kyle, not to be a dick, but coming in looking like Kyle, and then the dude's getting his.
I make that noise.
Well, but honestly, if you go and watch those videos, and I hate that I watch them because I always hate myself for having done it, but it's always the second guy that shows up that comes in with the freaking elbow drop or some weird shit and over escalates the situation, and then the first cop is caught into the same thing because now it's a situation of the perpetrator.
Not with Kelly Thomas. The first cop on the scene there was totally mean piece of shit.
Okay,
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And I shouldn't over categorize shit like that, but it tends to be the case where things get escalated as opposed to being de-escalated. De-escalate and the training of de-escalating. The one thing that you guys have said on here multiple times, I think PJ was talking about as well, was the thing I hate more than anything is it was in accordance with our training. Well, if it's in accordance with the training, then the training needs to be fixed.
Yes.
You know, but at the same time, if this is happening on the other side of things, and you're having this outrage, it then moves the conversation away from what the conversation should be, which is de-escalation of these issues. And
on the protesters' end of things, there was one thing, and I wasn't surprised to. Unfortunately, I was not surprised to see that even after watching the video, there were still motherfuckers going, "Well, he didn't have to shoot him." Fuck you. You're a fucking idiot. Yes, he did have to shoot him. What was he going to do at that point? Fucking, you know, like, was there something else he should have said?
He's got to get stabbed 4 times before he should.
Right? You know, maybe you should have tased him, which tasers are like, you know, less effective at certain ranges and stuff.
But they also kill people as well.
Mason, whatever. Like, you know, hey, if you're going to fucking run it, you charge somebody with a knife, you know, it's that kind of play stupid games, win stupid prizes thing. And, you know, like I said, it's unfortunate that the man was shot and killed. But this is not on, you know, like, Steve, you know, Officer Steve Patson, you know, that was a good shoot. You know, like, that guy's got to live with it. You know, fuck that guy for putting that on him, you know. I mean, if he was, you know, stable and mentally healthy, which, like, why would you charge a cop with a knife if you were fucking stable mentally healthy?
I mean, it could have been suicide by cop, which is common.
What it sounds like.
But to put that shit on somebody else, to put that shit on that officer and stuff, you know, like, that's bullshit. That's not cool.
Absolutely.
And for these people to fucking be all up his ass about this shoot and stuff before they even know what's going on, that's not fucking cool either. And then you've got people that are like, well, blah, 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 you know, like, still not cool. No, pretty sure it was the thing to do, you know, like unfortunately it was the thing to do.
Yeah, it is super sad when any of this stuff happens because it probably is a mental health issue. It by rear-ending the cop and then charging him, it sounds like, suicide.
So
by,
he rear-ended the cop? I haven't watched the video because I don't watch that show.
I have not watched the video. I watched the end little clip of it. I didn't see the rear-ending part of it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like suicide by cop, which is a legit thing that happens more often than it should.
The fact that we have a like a phrase for it, suicide by cop, that everybody knows what you're talking about and stuff. I mean, like, I guess it's kind of self-explanatory too. But I mean, the fact that it's got its own phrase means that it happens enough that what the fuck? You know, like you're not going to take your life. You're going to make this guy take your life. But that's bullshit.
I will say that there's two sides to the coin as well. In that, in accordance with our training is the phrase that just pisses me off so much, because if that's your training, then you need to change your training. And actually, to bring it to a local level, I sat down with the chief of police after I was elected, and we had this really good conversation about his philosophy on community policing versus aggressive policing. And I'm not saying that there are not issues in this area and that there's not racial profiling.
We have a pretty fantastic police force.
We do, and I will say that
we're very lucky in Minnesota overall, I think.
So Corky McQuiston, who is our chief of police, we had this great conversation about how he said that their training was continually becoming more and more militarized, and he recognized that this is not the route I want to go, and he stopped that line of training and went the other route. And I'm very, very proud to say that we have a chief of police that identified that, because otherwise you will end up with a situation where it's in accordance with our training. This is what we've trained you to do. We've trained you to escalate these issues and be militarized in these issues, when really what you should be doing is policing as a community and making sure that we're being more, not passive, but being more understanding of how things are happening and working on de-escalation. De-escalation is the key in all these scenarios, and especially because, like I said, when you watch a lot of these videos, and again, I haven't watched all of them, but that second cop that comes in, man, his adrenaline is running because he's heard that there's a scenario that's happening. He comes in, he's hot. He has not seen what has happened to get to this point, and is only seeing where we are. And a lot of the times that next move from there escalates things, as opposed to coming in and saying, what is happening? How do we take both sides of this and back off, as opposed to coming in and just lowering a shoulder, which happens all the time. And then it's the guy that is saying, like, oh, you're resisting. Well, I'm resisting because you're crushing my face, But then on the separate side of things is that then we as a public have to understand that let these things play out before you start being justice warriors, because then when it happens and it ends up being like this, then people go, see that one time? Even if it is just one time. See that one time? That one time it wasn't that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It damages your cause.
Yes. It damages
yourselves over.
Yes.
And you look like a fucking idiot.
Yes.
In the future, if any of you out there want to protest something, what you need to do is you need to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
You can do that through Facebook.
Oh, absolutely.
Or
I'm a councilman. My number is readily available.
Yeah.
It's public knowledge.
You can call Dave.
You can call me.
I suggest you start small.
And we'll let you know whether or not your protest is appropriate.
If I could give you some advice, if you want to have the supplies ready, that's fine. But I would recommend not even having the poster supplies ready or the pre-made signs. A lot of you have those signs made out there, and I'm going to look you right in the eye. It's you right there. You've got that sign, and you have it made, and it's in your trunk. I'm going to give you a bit of advice. Don't have the supplies and don't have the sign pre-made. Make a trip out to Target after it happens, and then purchase your supplies. And hopefully in the time that it takes to get your sign and make your sign, you've gotten a little bit more information about what actually happened.
Get rid of, paint over that Badeaux must go sign and make a fuck you for driving slow in the left lane
okay,
sign.
now if that's something you want to protest, we're okay with it.
Start small. Work on stuff like
Okay.
that. Like you can move on to other shit. But you right now you're just cutting your teeth. Go protest those people that are driving slow in the fast lane.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this as well. If you want to protest Councilman Badeaux, please, by all means, protest Councilman Badeaux, because that would be fantastic for me. I'm trying to get back into comedy, and I need more protests.
Some material, raise your profile a little bit.
Yeah.
So to pivot back to the city council a little bit, I was wondering how can you handle being on the city council without Mary Cope?
Well, Mary Cope is a part of our committee to save the water tower, so I get to work with Mary enough.
Wow.
Yeah. Mary. For those
That's
of you,
sweet.
For those of you who don't know, Mary Cope was the first female elected to a position in Brainerd, I believe.
Also a cunt.
And that was in 1892, I believe.
This is the sound of the councilman actually getting uncomfortable and my butthole puckering.
She was the voice of no in the city council.
Well, so and I'm gonna give a fair shake to Mary in that Mary had been in the political eye on the council or on the county end of things for 50 years.
Yeah,
I think it was
112.
I think it was 50 years. You're going to piss off a lot of people, and when you do that, then you're going to get a bad rap. But at the same time, she's also the type of person that is let's not spend money. Let's shore things up, and that also creates issues.
So I have worked with the city council throughout the years.
You
with
ran
the
for city
businesses that I
council.
own. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Twice, didn't you?
No, but I
this
almost
once?
did.
Okay.
I almost did the second time. And I'm going to tell this right now. So
Yeah.
I have worked with city council with the businesses that I've owned through the years, and now I'm completely fucking done. So thank God, never have to talk to them motherfuckers again.
Well, you're talking to one right now.
Oh,
You're talking to 1/7 of the council.
but back
Again, Brainerd, you did this, not me.
back when we had the Sunshine Kitchen Moonshine Lounge, we wanted to have this band Wookiefoot come play at the Shine. And but in order to make it work, we needed to put a temporary fence up so that we could have people go outside.
Sure.
So that we could, because we couldn't. We were gonna have 350 people there.
They wouldn't allow you to do that.
So
That's not even a problem at all.
I had to go in front of the city council to get permission to put up this temporary fence.
Yep.
Okay. I almost didn't even show up for it because it was supposed to be like a perfunctory vote.
Should be.
Right? But I figured, you know what? I'm just going to show up and just make sure everything goes, because this is super important.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that is in the Northeast Ward, which I am responsible for now.
You were not responsible for
Well, I am now. So continue.
So I went, Gary Sheeler was responsible.
Yeah, he
for
was.
that.
I didn't say that, but he was.
No, he was. Cockmunch. So I go to the city council, and this perfunctory vote ends up becoming a huge issue. And guess who is the champion of the vote? No, is Mary Cope. Anyway, I ended up having to go to 3 meetings.
Did they actually let you do it?
Yeah, in the end. But she still voted against it.
Interesting. And what was her basis? See that
Cunt.
Again, that's where I differentiate from
her problem was that it was like one of her things was she's like, oh, it's going to be really noisy. I was like, okay, well, first of all, it's going to be no less noisy if there isn't a fence. So you're not changing the noise level of this thing. And I mean, I was getting very, very hot. So I ended up getting pretty pissed about this whole thing. In the end, we ended up being able to do it.
Sure.
The show was fantastic. We had more than 350 people there. It was fucking great.
So she complains every year about Street Fest, which is an event downtown that I'm wildly involved in. And to be fair though, and I will play devil's advocate as well, because I am involved in Street Fest, which is just in a parking lot.
Mary's advocate.
And no, I'm not. She's come on now. She's a lady that has dedicated her life to being a steward of the public affairs, and for that I tip my cap to her. But anyways,
Dave, you said Jesus fucked fishes, and you're kissing Mary's wrinkly old ass.
I'm not kissing Mary's ass. I'm simply saying sometimes you get a bad rap, but it's okay. It's okay. But anyways, so we have a concert in a parking lot right over here from where we are, right downtown, right underneath the water tower, and she complains.
Dangerous. Very, very dangerous. That thing's falling over.
She complains every year. at the same time, like for the last 2 years, so I'm in charge, I'm the MC for the event. So I run the stage and make sure that everything's going and keep us on a clock so that we're getting up and doing awards when we need to and getting the bands up when we need to. And I love the company that does our sound, and I'm not going to give them a shout out because I'm just going to slightly say that this last year I said, we're going to get complaints because this is really fucking loud. And just before that happens, can we just kill it down a notch? Okay. And they said to me, well, there's an ambient, sound that comes with stages. Okay, but that's fine. But then let's go less of a stage then, so we don't have as big of an ambient sound. I'm also the guy that Junk FM looked at me and they were going to play CeeLo Green, but fuck you. And I'm on stage with Junk FM and Mo looks at me and goes, can we swear? And I go, yes. And he just turns to the crowd and goes, Councilman Badeaux says we can swear. And then starts singing, fuck you. And it is cranked to the highest fucking level it can possibly fucking be cranked to. I don't care about that. I don't care. Like I said, we're all adults and fuck all of you. That's fine. But at the same time, can we just do ourselves a favor and turn it down like one notch? Because it's not going to change the ability for people here to listen. But the guy in his house on 13th Street that is then complaining to me the next day, it does affect him. And so you get it from both sides of it. It's like, yeah, let's have a good time. But can we not?
In this particular case, it was going to make no difference if I had a fence, whether I didn't have a fence.
And I completely agree with you that you shouldn't even have to show up for that.
So
show up because you need to show that you care about it, but you shouldn't have to show up for that. That is a slam dunk.
I was very angry.
Yeah, it's a business trying to make money.
I decided that I was going to run for city council.
Ooh, specifically because of this.
Against Mary Cope.
Oh yeah, there's a problem.
I was going to run.
She kicked your ass.
That's because
I was going to run.
She's a professional.
I was going to run a completely negative campaign.
Oh, okay.
So my campaign promise, well, first of all, my slogan was, I'm not Mary Cope, right? That was it. That was my, yep.
And should have got you 2/3 of the vote.
Oh, right there. Yep. Say nope to cope. That was another one. Yep.
That's a Leslie Nope sign right there.
I was so fucking pissed, and I was going to build, but the biggest thing was I was going to build a float for the 4th of July parade.
Did you need a permit for it?
No, but I
just $100.
I was going to have this trailer, and I was going to put a chain link fence around the trailer, with barbed wire on the top of it.
So she's known for putting a fence around her yard for the parade.
The center of it, and basically just say, don't be fenced in by Mary Cope. She's the dumb bitch that puts a fucking barbed wire on the top of her chain link fence on 4th of July. So this bitch lives right on.
Barbed wire.
She did one year, and it made national news because the fucking city of Brainerd only gets on national news when one of our people does something ridiculously stupid.
At the same time as
I can't wait until you fuck up, Dave.
She lives.
Better be epic.
This is gonna be it.
She lives right across from
Jesus Fishfucker is national news for sure. But no, to be fair, your previous guest Sam made a comment on your post about everything being.
I actually wrote that, and he was the one that responded, and he responded, and I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, what he said was. You don't make national news by not being stupid. If you
only
make
negative shit is going to show up on the national news.
Negative shit is national news. That's national news. But I agree. And to be fair, again, the same thing that government, get the fuck out of your way. That's the way that I believe.
Now you know why I didn't run. Why I'm not currently on the city council?
Yeah, what's that?
She retired, fucking bitch. She was afraid, but I was so pissed.
I don't blame you because that's a ridiculous thing, and it's one of the things that I hope that I bring to the council on some level is that
a lack of senility.
I think we should dramatize that a little bit, like kind of a Hound versus Bran of Tarth, like knockdown drag out fight between you and Mary, and she's left like unable. Well, you're like at the end of it, you're both fucked up. You can't continue in the race, and she decides to retire because she's all.
I think I just arm drag her, take her back, choke her unconscious in seconds.
I do animate, by the way. So if you want me to animate that, you're gonna pay me. But
so actually, there's this came up on my Facebook memories because this just happened. When the first show was in it, I think it was in October. I don't remember. or September. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but it came up a little bit ago on my Facebook memories, and it was a picture of our chain link, because we use chain link fence panels when we put it up, and I put a big sign in there that said Copeland, and took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook back then. Yeah, I was pretty hot over that whole subject.
So I hate to do this to you guys, but
yeah, we gotta rock it.
About that time,
yeah,
man.
my son has a football game, and I really want my fun. I really want my fun to enjoy sunning. I really want my son to have fun with football, and I need to go watch him play.
You do.
So
it
awesome.
is that time.
Well,
It is that
thank you
time.
very much, Dave. Next week again, we're gonna have Jenna, chef from Prairie Bay, Three Cheers on.
So this is the thing I love about Brainerd is Jenna and Brock Larson are actually relatives of my ex-wife. And
really?
I love that family so much. That whole extended family. The hardest part about getting divorced was not my ex-wife. It was her family. I love her family, and they have a huge family. The Larsons, the Pickars, just this gigantic family. And the Goebels, they're all related to her, and I love those people. So it's an interesting thing of watching your podcast and just like going like, they're all related to my ex-wife.
Sometimes I worry. Sometimes I'm worried that we're a little too regional. Like it's just this.
Well, then you brought me on, and that saved that. So
Right. But I mean, I think everybody can agree that the water tower is stupid. So I mean, like nationally. So I think it's good.
The thing that we need to close on is that the thing that I have expected you to say the whole time was your grand idea of how to save the water tower. Because the biggest problem with the water tower is that in 1972 they removed the roof, and it's a big cup that catches. Basically what they did was they took the roof off of it, and then they were like, if we just make it a big gutter system, we'll use the pipes that the water came up and down with before, and that'll just be the downspout. And so it just collects water and drains. And the problem is that now water's seeping through the concrete and blah, 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 freezing and thawing. Eventually it will crack and will fail. However, you had a phenomenal idea, and you brought it up, and I'm amazed that you haven't brought it up now. So it's the only way to end this podcast.
Corporate sponsorship.
Well,
yeah.
Yes, I have brought it up on the show previously.
And if you don't hashtag it, I'm going to get upset.
If I can figure out how. The general idea.
Hashtag.
The general idea.
Say hashtag.
Is to just approach, condom company like Trojan
Or Durex.
Could be Durex.
Yeah.
And get them
Magnum.
to sponsor us and create a giant condom to go over the water tower.
Yeah, to keep the water out.
Yep, with a receptacle tip.
Yeah.
And then you
Hashtag.
could, and then hashtag whatever rubbers.
No.
Safe the tower.
Hashtag safe the tower.
Hashtag safe the tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we could be the safe sex capital of the world, and at the same time, we could, save all those kids that are at risk.
The only
Stop
problem
these fucking hillbillies from breeding.
The only problem with that is that the county would jump in and say, "I cannot see Jesus safing this tower."
Damn right.
And you know what Kyle says about condoms.
No, thank you. All right.
Sounds good. Well, we will see you guys next week.
Thank you guys so much.
You bet. Thanks,
Thank you,
Dave.
Dave.
You bet.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to the podcast with Dave Badeaux. I've kind of given up on the idea of trying to actually come up with a song to take you out with on the spot. So I figure I'll just do it after each episode. This song we're going to take you out with is by a band called Steve Call and the Brass Kings. These guys are fucking fantastic. They're a little three-piece band. Steve on the resonating guitar. They have a wash tub bass player and this washboard player. They're fucking amazing. It's amazing how much sound can come out of three people playing those instruments. And this song is called Rural Meth Lab Blues. And it's a cool song. It's about it's about meth labs, and it's worth listening to. So check it out. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Well, living up here in this rambler is not the life for me. I don't think this is what they meant by cottage industry. I've got a watchful eye, a beating heart, and a minor in chemistry. It's not the life you choose, laying here wide awake again with the rural meth lab blues. Well, she went to the doctor, said she needs a little mood enhancer, something to make her feel better, better than she feels. Well, the doctor said I can help you, but I only touch the symptoms. You gotta change your lifestyle. So she went to a friend of mine, said, can you help? I've got a hole in my heart and the sun has fallen in. My friend said I can help you. You feel like you can move mountains, but the mountain will still be standing. You feel like you can fly, but your feet will still be earthbound. And you feel like running a marathon and you'll be standing still. She said, what have I got to lose? And now she's shacking up with me and the rural meth lab blues. Well, one day we get a phone call on the phone that never rings. 3 unmarked cars can change a few things. Well, they're coming down the road, you've got a few minutes left. Came out of the receiver. I hung up, looked at her, said we can go out with a whimper, or we can fire up this ether and go out with a bang. We barely made the trees when they rolled into the driveway, kicking up a dust cloud, and rolled to a stop. Barely got the doors open when that little shack went up like some kind of test firing. In all directions the colors were blinding, and pieces of our lives too small for finding. Shoes and the running meth lab blues.